Finishing off the show this morning with some Pink and Sting with Marshmallow. What a good dancey one to finish off. You'll be happy with that one, Greg?
Yeah. Interesting collaboration. No, it was nice.
It certainly is.
That's real. They actually sang that, or is that AI?
You wouldn't know these days. You wouldn't know.
All right, listen,
All right,
see you in the morning,
Greg.
Marty.
Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed. Marty Friel there, back with you tomorrow morning at 6. Let's get a news update at 9. And it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A major search operation in Inishowen last evening has been deemed a false alert. A member of the public reported hearing cries for help at Stragill Beach at around 5 p.m. The Rescue 118 helicopter, Greencastle Coast Guard and Lochs Willie Ornelai were tasked to the scene by the Mallinhead Coast Guard. The search was stood down later in the evening. An Israeli security official has confirmed that the Rafah crossing is not open today, despite reports suggesting otherwise. The official said preparations are ongoing for its opening for the entry and exit of Gazans only. Yesterday, Israeli officials said the Rafah crossing would remain closed and aid flow into Gaza would be reduced after Hamas failed to hand over the bodies of all the dead hostages. 4 more bodies were handed over last night, meaning 20 others are yet to be returned. Members of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District are set to meet with Local Link in the coming weeks to discuss the possible expansion of the service. Councillor Donald Coyle says a recent call-out for student accommodation by the Atlantic Technological University highlighted the lack of bus links to the outskirts of Letterkenny. He says many people were willing to offer accommodation, but the main issue was transport. Councillor Coyle says additional Local Link services would greatly enhance the accommodation offering in the town.
Listillion right around, just to take a circle from that right on the outskirts of the town in all directions. If there was good local link transport into the town, a lot more students would get accommodation, would be able to access accommodation, and it would help solve the problem of student accommodation in the ATU.
Parts of Derry city centre have been likened to the Wild West. Foyle MLA Mark Durgan says vulnerable people are engaging in street drinking and antisocial behaviour in the streets, which he claims is impacting the city's economy. People are said to feel unsafe, with some parts of Derry designated no-go areas. He called for progress on legislation that would permit police to confiscate alcohol from adults. The North's Justice Minister Naomi Long says efforts are ongoing.
We're proposing providing PSNI officers with the additional power to seize and dispose of alcohol in exceptional circumstances, such as certain public order situations. We're also exploring whether any other agencies may wish to use enforcement powers, although it is important to note that any power of seizure would be limited to the PSNI.
Finally, for weather, some isolated brighter sunny spells possible today, but mostly cloudy. Mainly dry with patches of drizzle and mist. Highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
After a magical visit to the Kingdom of Caring, there's been a spooky mashup in Happy Meal, and the Care Bears are all jumbled up. Join the Care Bears on their most spellbinding adventure yet. Some fun, some food, it's all inside this Happy Meal. Until the 4th of November from 11 a.m. includes one pre-selected book or toy while stocks last. Subject to availability, fair ordering policy applies.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. It's 4 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 15th of October, and you're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show. How you're keeping on this dark and awful morning, isn't it? Maybe that's the way things are going. Of course it is. Right, we're here with you to brighten up your day for the next 3 hours, and we've got that usual mix of the very latest stories behind the headlines and making those headlines. Special features and of course your comments, and we invite them in right now. So maybe there's an issue you wish to raise. Interested to find out what the traffic's like around Letterkenny today, actually, because yesterday we didn't even ask, and we were inundated with people contacting us saying that they were late for this, that and that. What is the situation out there today? Are things improving? My journey in was not as long as it was yesterday, so maybe there's been some changes made. I think we might be talking about that a little later on in the show anyway. But that and anything else you wish to discuss, 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. 07491 25,000 if you want to give us a call. Or you can email comments at highlandradio.com, of course. Let's have a look at what's on the front of it inside some of the papers today. And the headline in the Finn Valley Voice, Castle Finn's Ciara Carolyn is Chef of the Year. She got her first kitchen job when she was 15. When she finished secondary school, she began working at Buffer's Restaurant in Oakfield Park Rafo. Now she's 21 and she's the UK's National Chef of the Year. Ciara Carolan, daughter of Anne-Marie and James Carolan of Cooley Slyn, Castlefin, is following a well-trodden path. There's no better place to launch a culinary career than the Finn Valley. Well done. That was a great bit of news, actually, that came through. The Children's Hospital, the 16th deadline for its opening is going to pass without it opening, believe it or not. Well, I think you believe it at this stage. It almost would be unbelievable if it did actually open. But the Irish Independent reports that the latest completion date for the 2.24 billion new National Children's Hospital will be missed again, as 1.14 million in payments to the builders are being withheld, the Irish Independent can reveal. The promised November 24th completion timeline will not be met, the 16th time it has shifted in the last 5 years. The update has emerged in a letter from David Gunning, the Chief Officer of the National Paediatric Hospital Development Board, to the Public Accounts Committee, in which he also revealed how it is fighting over 800 million in additional claims from builders BAM and pushing forward a legal process. This is while BAM still is receiving big contracts from the state to build other infrastructure. While Children's Health Ireland will get limited early access in part of the building next month to start preparation for its commissioning, the completion date is now expected to be stretched out to next year. Mr. Gunning said while BAM has reoffered some 2,140 rooms at fourth stage for inspection, no rooms have been accepted as compliant with the contract standard. Wowzers. Okay, on to the Irish Times now. And the fragile ceasefire in Gaza faced its first test yesterday when Israel said the flow of aid into the devastated Palestinian territory would be cut by half, accusing Hamas of breaching the US brokered agreement by withholding the bodies of Israeli hostages. Now, I believe 3 or 4 bodies were handed over overnight, but the whole notion of withholding food is against international law, because you're effectively saying if you don't do what we do, we're going to starve the general population. That being said, looking at some of the activities of Hamas, there's internal fighting already in Gaza, only a day or two before they got back into situ without the risk of Israeli bombings. And also, too, Hamas decided, judge, juries and executioners, to shoot 8, 9, 10 people dead in the street whilst people cheered and watched on. It's not really civilized, is it? But anyway, that's perhaps the future that is for the people of Gaza. Once one thing finishes, another begins. On Monday, Israelis celebrated the return of the last 20 living hostages in Gaza, and Palestinians rejoiced at Israel's release of nearly 2,000 prisoners and detainees, or hostages as some are calling them, as part of the ceasefire's first phase. Hamas also returned the remains of 4 dead hostages, but had previously warned that recovering the bodies of another 24 still in Gaza may take longer, as not all burial sites have been identified. However, Israel military officials believe Hamas knows where more of the hostages' remains are to be found and have deliberately delayed their transfer. It is quite interesting how Hamas is still fully armed, though, and can instantly put in place a police force. And there's other groups, other rival gangs to Hamas that have guns as well in Palestine and have been killing each other effectively in street battles. And of course, to Hamas summarily executing people that they believe were collaborators with Israel. The Irish Daily Mail this morning: the country's health system has been accused of disgusting and traumatic treatment of women. In a pair of government-funded reports, women were left feeling completely infantilized, felt like children, if you know what I mean, while going through labour, and ignored while seeking treatment. Participants described the quite patriarchal and disgusting language they experienced in healthcare settings and spoke of fatigue from having to aggressively advocate for their own treatment when they felt something was wrong. Two reports from the Women's Experience of Healthcare in Ireland Listening Forum were launched yesterday by Minister for Health Jennifer Carroll McNeil. A key theme across the reports was that women felt their symptoms weren't taken seriously, particularly when dealing with male GPs who they felt didn't have enough knowledge of the menopause or other crucial areas of female health. The moment I went into labour, I was treated like a completely different, let me just go to page 4, person. One participant said, I was ignored. I was treated like I was mostly hysterical. It was just a really upsetting and traumatic experience. You're being completely infantilized. Made feel like an infant. I can't get my head around that word. In labour. So has that been an experience of yours with the health system? 08660 25,000. Enoch Burke is still trying to get to school, but he can't at the moment because a security guard has been put in place to stop him getting into the school. Gardaí were called to a school in Westmeath after Enoch Burke ended up in a verbal row with a new security guard who was hired to keep him out. Mr. Burke, who has continued to show up at Wilson's Hospital School, was seen having a verbal war of words with a security guard on the premises yesterday morning. And yesterday, a High Court judge suggested that Mr. Burke be made to pay the cost of the school's security instead of paying fines to the state. In a video posted to his own social media account, the security guard can be seen with his hands outstretched and preventing Mr. Burke from moving towards the school building. I'm at work today. I'm here to attend at my workplace. This is where I work, Mr. Burke, who was dismissed from the school, said. The security officer can be heard telling Mr. Burke he's really sorry as he asks him to move back. You are walking towards me. Make a space between me and you, he asks as Mr. Burke tries to get past him. I'm here to do my work. I'm being obstructed now from entering in the door here by this man, Burke says to the camera, and you know his style, the way it's going on. But he's still turning up for work, even though he was sacked. Though he's appealing that. But anyway, I felt sorry for the security guard, I must say, and some will feel sorry for Mr. Burke. But you know what I mean. It's just been thrust into the national spotlight for doing your job, probably for little more than the minimum wage. There was a row between Mary Lou McDonald and Micheál Martin over electricity. It's in the Star today. The Taoiseach has defended the government's approach to energy costs as he was told households are being ripped off. Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou McDonald said more than 1 million households will be hit with big hikes in their electricity bills this month as she accused energy companies of brazenly ripping off customers in Ireland. Reports from the International Energy Agency, which we reported yesterday, found retail prices in Ireland are 3 times higher than the wholesale price. Now, that's some profit, isn't it? Miss McDonald said that's price gouging, plain and simple, a rip-off, plain and simple, during leaders' questions yesterday. Miss McDonald said this was in keeping with the terrible budget announced last week. Micheál Martin defended the budget and accused Sinn Féin of an approach that would have undermined Ireland's financial stability. He added, I can recall during the energy crisis the proposals that you came up with would have undermined our financial credibility and would have been a boom to the oil companies and to the fossil fuel companies. But I'm not taking any sides in relation to this, but what the government decided to do was one-off payments that actually rewarded electricity companies for their high tariffs. You know, they effectively said, right, we'll pay you the one-off cost of living payments at the full whack for electricity. I mean, that's bolstering their profits, isn't it? There was no incentive for them to reduce prices, the electricity companies, because the state themselves were paying them directly at the rates they were charging as one-off payments, if you know what I mean, to cost of living supports. And lastly, Micheál Martin quoted again, he's blasted Irish swimmer Shane Ryan's decision to join the enhanced games. I don't know why anyone might do this, although there's an awful lot of money in it. The controversial new competition takes place in Las Vegas in May next year. It'll allow athletes to take banned performance-enhancing drugs under medical supervision. So the idea being this is an Olympics that allows athletes to participate at their absolute maximum ability, even if that is, you know, with the use of drugs. But I mean, like that, how does that reflect on this man's career if he's prepared to take part in these types of games? It'll initially feature 5 events: swimming, gymnastics, weightlifting, track and field, and combat sports. Each event will have a total prize purse of €432,000, with €216,000 awarded to the winner. There'll also be 864,000 on offer for competitors who break world records in the 100 metres sprint on the track and 50 metres freestyle Ryan's event in the pool. So there's a lot of money being put out there. It wouldn't interest me at all, to be honest with you. But I think, you really are selling out to the cash there if were a legitimate athlete, if I could put it like that, and now are taking money to take part in an event whereby it's perfectly okay for you to take performance-enhancing drugs, which are obviously illegal within the sport, but wouldn't be illegal for consumption outside of sport. All right, what do you think about any of that? 086 60 25,000. Give us a call if you prefer, an 074 91 25,000.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop Diner.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Ready to upgrade your car? At Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town, we've got a great selection of makes and models to suit every budget. With flexible finance option and trade-ins welcome, upgrading has never been easier. Visit ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to see us at Shane Conley Cars, Drumlonagher, Donegal Town.
Tuair de bhór nár de bhic léin. Is féidir le seirbhísí bus nascáúil TFI atá ar fáil ar fud na tíre, tú a cheangal le réimse lehan choláistí ó cheann na bliana. Sa bháiltar sús le 50 géad ar hálaí agad nuair a bhaineann tú leas as do chárta lí TFI désaí óga nó de bhic léin. Tuair cuairt ar transportforireland.ie. Is sinna Transport for Ireland. Is muid umpar dit.
Discover amazing deals at Floyd's Restaurant, Ballymagori, Strabane. Enjoy a 2-course menu for £19.95 Monday to Friday, Euro for pound night Wednesday and steak night Thursday. Sunday carvery from 12:30 to 3:30. Party packages and function rooms available. Call 02871 382905 to book.
If you lose a partner, practical help can make a difference. The Bereaved Partners Contributory Pension now includes qualified cohabitants. If your cohabiting partner died before July 21st, 2025, payments may be backdated to January 22nd, 2024, or their date of death, whichever is later, but you must apply on or before January 21st, 2026. To learn more, visit gov.ie/BPCP, a Government of Ireland initiative brought to you by the Department of Social Protection.
You want a little treat but not chocolate or gelato? Check out this coffee that we made called Bravato. Sit and sip it slowly, or if you're in a rush, it tastes as good on foot or while you wait for the bus. Deliciously different. Get your new favorite cup. If you want some roasted goodness, come hit us up. Your taste buds have voted. They want a flavor that's goated. They are ready to thrive. Now Bravato's arrived. Deliciously different. Find your nearest store at bravado.com.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
It's 18 minutes past 9. Let's go to 100% redress Deputy Charles Ward. Good morning, Charles. Thanks for your time today.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good morning, Paul, the listener.
I'm okay. Right, we chatted on Monday, wasn't it, about your motion coming up on Wednesday, where you were going to effectively highlight the treatment of defective concrete block victims, the scheme, its implementation, and all that type of stuff. But you've told us today that the government is looking to heavily censor your motion. Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, I would say at every attempt they can is to basically make sure that none of that motion goes into the record. That's what their plans are.
How do they do that? Well, what is the procedure there? What's happening?
Well, I have a motion that's going in, and then they will counter that motion, okay? And then it will go to votes, and then my motion will probably be voted down, and theirs will be carried. And then their motion will be in place, and mine won't be. So do you understand? It's basically...
No, I get you, yeah.
So basically we will see today when people vote, they're going to vote with me or vote against me. You know, basically that's it. It's calling people out, and that's what we're here to do. But it's not surprising, you know, that this has happened, because we kind of expected this and we anticipated this, and it's about when they move, we move. And that's what they're going to do. So that their take on it is, and it's a Dublin take, is where everything is okay. We're doing what we said we do. you're going to hear the words, we're throwing out such and such million. There's so many houses getting built, but they fail to actually go into the devil is in the detail. And the actual detail is that this scheme is failing miserably. And today now, you'll hear government ministers speaking about the success of this scheme, but on the ground in Donegal, it's a complete catastrophe. The reality is in Donegal, we're living in a nightmare, and in Dublin, they don't see it.
And ironically, rather than you being able to put your opinions on the record, it, as some might see it, it's insult to injury, because rather than you being able to say what you wish to say, such as the way motions can work, the government will actually be able to use your time effectively to state how well it believes it has been doing.
Well, it's part of it. But the narrative is when I do my opening statement, I will be talking about the reality of it, and then they will come in with an illusion of it working in harmony. And this is basically, it's got to be said that everybody in Donegal who's in a position as, for example, government TDs up here and government TDs at local level in the council have to stand up and realise what we're facing here and not follow the party line. You know, we keep on talking about the fact is that we've got a defective crisis, a humanitarian crisis going on our doorstep, but everybody has to pull together, and that's the way it has to be. Now, I know that basically the government TDs will be tied by the whip system, but it's like this. We'll see what their statements say. Because if they turn around, they're saying that this scheme is a success and this scheme works, then they have to explain to their own constituents that are suffering why this scheme is working, because we don't see it.
So, just so people understand, right, so you've put in your motion, and it is quite critical of the government. It was due to be heard at 10:03, and it it's really, really quite detailed. They've put down an amendment that effectively substitutes every word that you were going to say after that the Dáil Éireann notes that, and this is where you would go. Would you, just as I say, we're not all acutely aware of how it works, does that mean that your criticisms and your points aren't even read into the record or recorded at all?
They will be recorded, but they won't be put into the official record. It'll be see that this motion was put in place, and the government countered it with the narrative that, look, we have a scheme in place. This scheme is, in their eyes, working, but that's not the reality. It's just basically a cover-up. It's basically telling lies, you know. And I have to be careful what I say, but telling lies is the fact, and I don't mind, because that's what it is. It's mistruth. You know, you will hear them talk about numbers. You'll hear them say, we've got 100 and something odd million we're going to spend in the scheme next year. But then again, we have people this morning that have been putting up on social media that they can't get a contractor, and the contractor they're starting says if their payments are going to be late, that they have to charge them 5% every week on the transaction till they get paid. This is what we're up against.
The government's going to claim today over 3,000 homeowners are now at various stages of the DCB grant scheme and will be supported with grants for 100% of eligible expenditure up to a maximum cap of $462,000 per household. That actually is not accurately how the scheme works, is it? It's actually not really the way it works. In other words, you get 100% up to that figure. You get a percentage of it dependent on the overall cost. So that in of itself is not 100% accurate, I would have thought.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. When I done the Dublin media circuit yesterday, and they were astounded because it's hard to get that word out up here, but when it does get up here, it makes them uncomfortable. The fact of the reality is, this scheme was made for urban houses. Somebody in Dublin looked at this and said, oh, well, semi-detached, detached. They never thought about anything else. And even the semi-detached and detached, there's very few, if any. I haven't met them yet that are coming through and says, well, this actually worked for me. I got in without it costing me a penny. It didn't cost them €300, which was said in the past. It's cost them money. It's prevented children from going to college. It's caused marriage breakups and mental health issues. This is the reality. This is the lived experience from the ground for the people of Donegal. But Dublin politics up here is trying to dictate that we're sorted. We're far from sorted. We're not even at less than a percentage of what the scheme is. If we've got nearly 25,000 houses coming, we need to be turning out 700 houses every single year for the next 15 years to get through this. But we're not even anywhere near that. What we've got coming down the line is a tsunami of homelessness and mental health crisis. And I'm trying to tell them this. I've been shouting it, and they have to keep on because I'm not going to stop.
It's interesting here. It says Donegal County Council has systems in place to assist all homeowners to remain safe and to secure alternative accommodation should it be required in the case of any severe weather occurrences, which would seem to be counter to what the motion that was before the council yesterday. I wasn't aware that Donegal County Council has systems in place to accommodate people during severe weather occurrences. Sure, there was a motion yesterday calling for such a thing. Maybe I've missed
Greg,
that.
No, Greg, the last time prior to Storm Erwin landing, my office secured hotels in Donegal that allowed people to go to them hotels if they felt vulnerable and safe. We were told Donegal County Council about this, and at lunchtime, just as the storm was hitting, we worked through the night to secure these, and it wasn't until 5 o'clock the next day when they put out a half a paragraph saying that people could go to these hotels. Nothing happened then. The next time that red warning happened, where we had it for 2 hours, there was people with damaged homes. Nobody got moved. There was nothing in place. So until they come out with an official statement saying that it's in place, then it will be in place. Otherwise, it's business as usual. Pretend they're saying something. They need action. It's action, not waiting on a tragedy to happen. This is the lived reality for everybody in this situation. Someone is going to die, and we've been shouting it and we've been saying it, and they're not listening.
Right, we'll watch on with interest to see how people vote, I think, because, of course, you've got your motion and the government has seen to amend that. So we'll see how people vote on that. It'll be quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, we've got 26 speakers today, and 6 of them are from the government, and the rest will be from varying degrees of the opposition. So, yeah.
All right,
so
listen,
it's a united front in the opposition. So
I know you're prepping for that. So we'll watch on with interest. Thanks very much.
No problem, Greg. Okay, thank you.
Bye. Take care. Right. Okay. It's funny how it works, isn't it? So really, effectively, a different narrative can be recorded, which actually effectively says how well the government is doing, as opposed to what he wanted to say and suggest otherwise. Okay, we'll be back with our next guest after a short break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Tugan vaccini neart breise go de choras im dhéanachta chun tú chosin sear chinnas trom chúiseach. Maltarhuid vaccine flua oil, má tá tú seaca blin díos nó níos sinna, más aibrí cuairim sláinteú, má tá tú gumpar clina, nó má tá rucht sláinte fad sermachart. Maltarhuid vaccine COVID-19 oil freshen, má tá tú seaca blin díos nó níos sinna, nó má tá rucht sláinte fad sermachart. Cur vaccine le de lista rudí atá le dana, agus cosan hu hain agus de hailachs na mian amach roin. Laur le doctor no cogashoir ran fortach, no tourcourt ar HSE.ie le haid chilla Olish. Own HSE.
It's the Right Price Tiles wood flooring and bathware 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Stores nationwide. Sale extended until Sunday.
Consider tantalising, tasty turkey meatballs. Oof, Aldi, you're teasing us. Come on, cooked in the tray. Just pop it in the oven. Handy. Or what about beef teriyaki? That's sizzle. And then there's succulent salmon with garlic and herby butter. Lovely. The only thing that could make that better is chips. Great value, tasty and handy too. Now you're cooking. Aldi Ready to Cook range. Prepped by us, cooked by you.
Across the supermarket aisle, your eyes meet, and you just know this is the real deal. Food that makes you go, Drinks that make you feel, ooh. That's the power of Love Irish food brands. Local brands, made with devotion, enjoyed with passion.
You feel the power
of Love Irish food.
You feel the power of love.
Look for Love Irish food on pack.
Can you feel it?
Discover the untamed charm of Ireland's West at the Radisson Blue Hotel and Spa Sligo. When the world quiets down, something inside awakens. Escape the ordinary, embrace the elements. Unwind in the award-winning spa and heated pool where romance and Atlantic beauty meet. Book your escape today.
At DoorTech Garage Door Systems in Kilmacrennan, we specialise in the supply and installation of all types of industrial roller doors and garage doors. Whether for your home, business or farm, our doors offer the security you need. For premium quality doors, call DoorTech on 9139941 or visit doortech.ie.
Now, MEP Cynthia Nimurhu has got information off Irish Water, which shows that Uisce Éireann has paid out almost €9.5 million on compensating members of the public who sustained injuries or had property damaged by Irish Water between 2020 and 2025. The first time Uisce Éireann have released such figures. And Cynthia joins me on the show now. Thanks very much for your time. Good morning to you.
Greg, Checkowil too. Good to speak with you again.
Yes, indeed. What do you read? Obviously we have the figures, right? 9.3 million over 5 years. What does this mean, do you think? What perked your interest to actually seek this information?
Well, first and foremost, the instigator of this was a constituent. They email me regularly, always glad to hear complaints or issues. But one particular constituent brought this up, Greg, to my attention. They had received compensation when Irish Water mistakenly, or the agents of Irish Water, the contractors of Irish Water, they had mistakenly dug up the driveway of that constituent. And obviously the constituent was entitled to compensation. No difficulty with that. And I'm sure that level was tested comprehensively before the courts or whatever by the lawyers. But it seemed to me that if a genuine mistake was made, and perhaps there was in relation to identification of the driveway or the air code, well, why was this made? Is this being made regularly? And then that figure was provided to me that you've mentioned of compensation paid. It has to be said over a 5-year period, which is lengthy enough, Greg, of almost 9.5 million of compensation. But this worried me. That figure worried me because I'd be used to compensation paid through the local authorities. I used to defend claims, slip and falls, in terms of the local authorities around the southeastern circuit where I practiced. So I'm used to seeing big figures. But I just thought, Éireann is not on a par at all with the local authorities. I'm not suggesting that that figure is on a par, but I'm still querying it and it bothered me. And so I went then to look at other figures, Greg. External PR consultants. Now, Uisce Éireann would have their own internal press and comms division. But on external PR consultants over 3 years from 2022, 2023 and 24, the figure was €365,000 paid on external PR consultants. Why? And why so much? And why not exploit, I suppose, more so the team inside? Or why not cut down perhaps on some of the PR consultancy that they feel was required? This all comes back really, Greg, to waste of spending in the public sector. And obviously, when I say waste, some of it might be justified. It's easy to throw that term around, Greg, but some of it has to be looked at and has to be drilled down. There's another figure that troubled me, and it's a lesser figure, and that was media monitoring service, which was paid for by Uisce Éireann, but outsourced.
Yeah,
And
this
in
is an
2024
interesting one. I don't think a lot of people actually are aware that this goes on, but, on Garda Síochána would do the same. It'd be interesting to see how much they spend on it. Bus Éireann as well do the same as well, whereby if we mention something, they're not listening all of the time or however that works. You will get a contact from one of these companies trying to either set the record straight, which is grand. But anyway, our style is that we wouldn't read anything out without making contact with them in the first instance in any case. But this media monitoring, there's a lot of money being spent, and this is only in Irish Water. I wonder how much it is right across the board.
Exactly. Now, I have no difficulty with the concept itself. It's the cost of the service. It's the cost of it. And can that be justified when the core business of Ishke Éireann is infrastructure? We have many wastewater treatments and freshwater plants that need to be updated. We have many that need to be built. We have many that need to be serviced and so forth. So that is the core business of Ishke Éireann. I appreciate they do have a brand to protect, and the public want to invest trust and faith in them. And it does help to have some consultancy from the point of view of public relations in that regard. But then we just need to drill down and say, is this too much? And that is the question that I'm asking, because to be quite honest with you, in my opinion, Greg, this is too much. There's also another figure of media distribution software, and you can explain to the listeners if you want in relation to what that means. But in the year 2024 alone, on media distribution software, so the software that was used to distribute their media message, 25,000 plus VAT. And again, I'm talking about the outsourcing of this. So overall, when we tot up all those figures that I have gotten under the Freedom of Information and other sources, there's about 10 million of spending there. Now we know, and I welcome the fact that obviously Ishke Éireann received a sizable amount of money in the budget, and it is required, and we know all about that. But we want to make sure that it's good value for money, because at the end of the day, Greg, the bottom line is here. At the end of the day, as they say, it's taxpayers' money.
Yeah, of course it is, Cynthia, and I'm pleased that you're investigating any time that might be misused. But I mean, you know, your party, Fianna Fáil, are in government, and over the last number of years, we're stumbling across these discoveries, be it bike sheds, be it security huts, you know, be it a wall, whatever it might be. Where is the oversight? Like, what? Rather than discovering these things as we go, why can't we get a sense of what the overall spend in certain areas and start cutting back in these? Because this is 10 million here, another 2 million there, 50 million here. You know, like even the 80 odd million given to Met Éireann for 2026. I don't know what they're doing with that, right? But I mean, I would prefer a little bit more information, more oversight. Why can't the government actually do that themselves?
Greg, we're in a cost of living crisis. Every cent and every euro counts. Now, I do know, first of all, I want to say I fully agree with your analysis there about the instances that you've cited of waste, and you're quite right. It did happen under the watch of the current government. At the moment, happens to be the coalition of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, and Fianna Fáil is my party. I did note, however, that Micheál Martin pledged, on Taoiseach pledged after the bike shelter debacle and overspend, to apply more rigorous due diligence in relation to public spending. But you're quite right on the transparency point. We do need to see this spend so that we can assess it, because it is our taxpayers' money at the end of the day.
I'll give you another example, if you don't mind.
Yes.
100 million euro for horse racing, and what many see as the barbaric sport of greyhound racing. No other country in the world uses public money to support greyhound racing, and in fact greyhound racing has been eliminated from many parts of the world. And in the same budget, 11.6 million for domestic violence and gender-based violence services. Like, explain that. I want transparency, and we give 100 million for prize money for horse races and to prop up a greyhound industry that's only there to bet. That's the only function of it, really, right? And yet we can only muster 11 million for domestic violence and gender-based violence services.
Yes, well, now I beg to differ on the only 11 million on that figure. I don't have them in front of me, Greg, but I do know the lead out from previous Minister for Justice Helen McEntee and current Minister for Justice Jim O'Callaghan. The spend on domestic violence, against all forms of violence against all sectors of the community, has been increased exponentially. But I'm not going to argue that with you, because I don't have the figures in front of me.
I guarantee you that that's the figure.
Yeah, well, look, that is the figure, and you're making that comparison, and it's a valid argument. Can I just say how I come to the spend in relation to the greyhound industry, in relation to the horse racing industry, is as follows. I am pro-business. I am so pro-business because I am I'm delighted to live in Carlow, a small county which experienced underinvestment, maybe a bit like Donegal, for years and years and yonks, and we we need to be pro-enterprise. We need to get investment. That's why I hopped and I opted on the Transport and Tourism Committee the minute I got out of Brussels. And I see the value in investing, albeit in the greyhound industry and in the horse industry, where we absolutely punch above our weight. Could I just say, since I came to Europe, I've got a couple of things in perspective, Greg, because I'm looking at Ireland now from afar, and I'm looking and hearing people talking about Ireland. A lot of people think we have done a lot of things right, and one of them is tourism, and they flock to Ireland. I'm not going to say for the greyhound races now, but I am going to say for the horse races.
Well, you should have a
we
look at
punch
the, you should,
well
you
above
should
our
have
weight
a
in
look
the
at-
bloodstock industry.
You should have a look at this year's Galway races attendance versus a couple of years ago. It's not a. Anyway, that's fine. That's not what we invited you on to talk about. When we were talking about spend and justifications for spend and what have you. But as I say, that 10 million, just to get back to the beginning of it, could employ more nurses,
Yes.
more guards, more SNAs. And I know, in fairness, the government is committed to hiring more guards and SNAs. But there's better places it could be spent rather than, errors, compensation, remediation, stuff like that.
Yes, and the other, I agree with that point. And the other point I'd like to make is to go back to the cafe owner in Tralee who also contacted my office and said, listen, I'm spending 1,750 on my water rates in order to sell cups of coffee and scones and jam and butter. But how do they feel when they hear about the spend on pure consultants by Ishka Éireann of almost 365,000? So it does come back to that basic trust.
But they might
And we
also
do
ask.
want,
They might also ask why we're going to swell McDonald's profits by 40 million.
They may, and as I understand it,
That's
it was
not a
difficult
waste
to
of money.
separate
Yeah.
the big guys.
If that's not a waste
Yes,
of
it
money,
was
I don't know
difficult
what
to-
is. Yeah. Sorry, Cynthia. There's a slight delay, but we both understand that, don't we?
Yes, we do. I think the VAT reduction is to be welcomed. I certainly championed for it. I am delighted, Greg, that it happened. I do appreciate this was a budget of choices like every budget. And I do know, because they've contacted me in their scores, that constituents are very, very upset about the fact that the ordinary guy and gal out there working has not received a break. But what I do say is, please look at other measures that the government are doing, not directly into your back pocket or into your wallet, but there are other measures that the government are doing in relation to services. But part of the piece is making sure that people know that when there isn't a huge investment in the budget in Ishka Éireann, that money is being correctly spent, not on operating costs that I am questioning and I think are excessive. We want more on the infrastructure.
Thanks so much for your time, Cynthia. I do appreciate it. Look after yourself. That's MEP, Fianna Fáil MEP, Cynthia Ní Murchú there, talking about a number of things, not least the fact that over 5 years, Ishka Éireann has paid 9.3 million in compensation. They have internal PR and comms, but they've spent in excess of €200,000 in that regard. And this external PR consultants in 1 year, another €137,000. And in 1 year too, the media monitoring this last year, €103,000, which is a peculiar little thing. Because as I say, it's not just Irish Water do that, because we would, there would be mentions of certain issues and we follow protocols in terms of reaching out for comment before we, generally speaking, before we broadcast something, because that's the right and fair thing to do. But often we're contacted to say, well, this and such was on your programme and this is the situation, etc. And you wonder, how do they listen? How do they know? Well, they spend 103 grand a year, 103 grand a year monitoring it.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Thinking about changing your car? Making the change is easier than ever at Kelly's Toyota, thanks to Toyota Approved Used. Choose from our extensive range of used passenger and commercial vehicles, including 242 and 251 demo models at great prices. Tested and approved by Ireland's most trusted car brand. All our cars come with a 12-month comprehensive warranty with flexible payment options available. Talk to Kelly's Toyota today. Toyota, built for a better world. Terms and conditions apply.
With the phasing out of R32 refrigerant and heat pumps, discover next-generation comfort with the new award-winning Grant Airona R290 heat pump, delivering exceptional performance with quiet operation. The Grant Airona R290, heating for the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.ie.
Are you an absolutely huge fonter? Or a zoom inner? Perhaps you're an arm stretched out like a zombie when holding a newspaper, or a squint so tightly at the menu the waiter thinks you're sleeping, or... At Specsavers, we get it. You don't want to admit it's probably time to become a glasses wearer. Or, that's okay. We're ready to see you whenever you're ready to see properly. Book an eye test at specsavers.ie so you can see clearer. Okay, we'll stop with the errors now.
Meet Louise. She made big savings on her car insurance when she made the switch to Outsurance.
Hi, I'm Louise. It's true, I saved €212 when I made the switch. And with the Out bonus, I'll get 10% of my premiums back in cash after 3 years claim-free.
Happy days. For a competitive car insurance quote like Louise's, call 1-800 600 400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC, trading as Outsurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Our Christmas shop has now opened for all your festive shopping needs. Explore our extensive range of decorations, bedding and more in our homeware department, in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Some isolated brighter sunny spells possibly today, but mostly cloudy, mainly dry with patches of drizzle and mist, highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees and light east or variable breezes. Now, the last Camcorla of Donegal County Council is Councillor Donald Mandy Kelly of the Fianna Fáil Party, and he's been speaking on congestion in and around Letterkenny, and he joins him now. Good morning, Donald. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to your listeners, sir.
Right, we saw some work yesterday, and instantly traffic all around Letterkenny was snarled up, not just in the area of the roadworks, but in many, many parts of the town.
Yeah, Greg, and I suppose, listen, to start off, I want to make it very clear, I suppose, listen, traffic in any town is not a bad thing, but when it's congested like the way it was yesterday morning, I mean, that's shocking. And listen, I suppose when I was inundated yesterday morning with phone calls and text messages in relation to the traffic jam, and each and every road surrounding that end of town, is particularly around the Kilmacrennan Road. And when I went up myself to visit to see what was going on, and I come to see that there was a barrier extended out through the night, which closed off one lane from the hospital roundabout to above the entrance to St Connell's. So this done away with the middle lane, allowing traffic to pull in and sit and wait to turn into St Connell's or your town park. And what was happening, Greg, was like every morning, and I suppose people's trying to get to work, and in some cases people's rushing. I suppose the kind of the world run now, everything's moving so fast. But the vehicles were struggling to get across. This then in turn was backing up the traffic right down by Oatfields, up Glencar, right up by Kilmacrennan, and back down New Line Road. Everything was congested. I was then sent photos as well of the main street in Letterkenny, and it was completely empty.
Is this though?
So going to show you, Greg.
Yeah, but and the whole idea here is effectively to narrow the carriageway and provide a cycle lane. Does that mean these right-hand lanes? I can't see where the space is for them. In other words, was yesterday a taster menu of what is to come? Yes, this is the work to put these active travel plans in place. But is this what we're going to be left with when they're finished?
Yeah, Greg, and listen, as you know well, my stance on this and active travel from word go, and I was very nervous about it. But from what I seen yesterday, I'm even more nervous now of this project going forward, because we only witnessed yesterday, give or take 30 or 40 yards of one lane closed off. But in the long term, when this project is complete, we're going to be losing that middle lane the whole way from the hospital roundabout to Knockdamona roundabout. And that is a busy, busy area. So to put it into perspective, Greg, there's going to be no right or left turning lane for the town park, St Connell's, the casualty there at the hospital, for emergency service, ambulance bay, for the new community hospital, Errigal College, Donegal Hospice, Little Angels School, And the list goes on. That's not counting the housing estates within them areas as well.
Which
So
means
what the plan is
that
here,
leaves people sitting in the middle of the road to make those turns, unless they prohibit right-hand turns there, which means going around the roundabouts.
Exactly. So the traffic now is going to have to sit in the lane and the hope that somebody lets them cross. And that's not always going to be the case. Whereas how things stand and always stood at the minute is you could pull into the middle lane and let the traffic flow like normal, as always. But now you're going to have to sit, back up that traffic until somebody lets you across to their side. And that, for me, that's very alarming.
This is to facilitate, really effectively, people cycling up that hill, which I'm not sure how many might. I think if people, there's an argument that people could be laughing at us if they were looking from the outside in here.
Yeah, well, Greg, go back to the 4-lane now. Like, start from the beginning here and go back to the 4-lane. And I mean, I travel that road nearly every day, and I'm yet to see bicycles on it.
No, I've never seen a bike. I've never seen a bike on it, and I've seen very, very few pedestrians.
We're in a town that's built on the side of a hill, and we're putting cycle lanes in here on the Kilmacrennan Road that, in my opinion, won't be used or very seldomly used. And the biggest problem we have in Letterkenny at the minute is traffic and traffic congestion. And I always said that this was premature, backed by colleagues of my own as well. And, I always stated that we need to look at our northern and southern relief roads, get them into place first, or Wendy Halls, or Old Towns, places like that. Surely we need our bridges over the Swilly. That's further down the line, and it's something that we're pushing hard on. But our hands are tied to a certain extent, but it is moving in the right direction.
Yeah, but you say that these should be deferred at least until after Christmas. But is this active travel money not use it or lose it? Is this why we're not rushing through with it now, and why councillors from Mallinhead to Gweedore to Donegal Town voted to snarl up Letterkenny like this? Is this not what it's all about? If we don't use this money, we lose this money.
Yeah, Greg, I'm led to believe, if we don't use it, we lose it. But let me tell you, Greg, and I'll make it quite clear, I'm willing to lose it, because as things stand at the minute, it's not going to work, and it's going to be money wasted anyway. So this is not about money, Greg. For me, this is about the people of Letterkenny and surrounding areas. This is about the town of Letterkenny. It's about our businesses, that they're not... We're moving on now to Christmas, Halloween, Christmas, a very, very busy time of year. A time of year that our businesses rely on, and this is where they make ends meet. And the last thing I want to see now is businesses being hindered in our town over the head of this active travel. And I do believe that's going to happen. Yesterday, I was witness and contacted by bus companies that was late getting children to school.
Well,
contacted by people that was late getting to work.
Hospital appointments too. I got a number of contacts from people that were late to hospital appointments for cancer treatment.
As well. Yeah.
I just think we need to really take a step back and say that this is a steep hill, and everything that's happening now at the moment, we know, and I think we can say it for a fact, there will be very few people cycling up that cycle lane. And those that might do it on racing bikes, that wear the helmets and the Tour de France gear, and I don't mean that badly, just to differentiate, they don't use the cycle lanes because the cycle lanes have pedestrians on them, they've got stones on them, they're not good for the bikes with the small tyres. At the moment, every bike and scooter I see is on the footpath. And scooters shouldn't even be on the footpaths. So what are we building it? Who are we building it for? It's for steep incline. There's going to be no room for vehicular traffic. Who are we building this cycle lane in this area and other areas for? We have to ask ourselves that.
Yeah, Greg, and listen, that's something that I have highlighted and my colleagues have highlighted time and time again. And on top of that, Greg, what's even more important here is our emergency services. We have seen firsthand the failure of the 4-lane in relation to emergency service trying to get through it. Can you imagine an ambulance or a Garda car, the fire brigade, any of them yesterday morning trying to get out? Whether they turned left or right, they were going nowhere. And that is the reality. And I'm a great believer in common sense, Greg. And let me tell you, common sense is few and far between at the minute.
Yeah,
Because-
I was thinking the same.
even-
When I was sitting in the traffic yesterday, I was thinking, right, if I start seeing sirens behind me now or coming towards me, where can I go? And I wasn't on the 4 lanes. I was in the traffic that we're talking of now, and I couldn't see anywhere for the traffic to part to allow emergency services through. I simply couldn't.
And listen, Greg, the engineers will turn around and state that there's going to be a drop curb here, or a kind of green grass verge, to allow vehicles to pull up onto it to let emergency services pass. That's all well and good in hindsight. But if you haven't a confident driver, or even the tourist who comes into Letterkenny that doesn't know this, it's not going to work.
Right.
And emergency services are going to be backed up no matter what way you look at this.
All right.
And what I called for yesterday, Greg, at the meeting was, well, what I know won't happen was for this project on Kilmcran Road to be scrapped. I know won't happen. But what I called for then was at least to defer these works until after Christmas to give businesses the chance in Letterkenny.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I'll go out of my way, and even yesterday I went into Letterkenny to buy stuff. But there comes a point whereby even if you're making an active effort to support the businesses that support the country or the county, there comes a point whereby you simply don't have the time in the day to sit for an hour in traffic. It's not that the businesses aren't great. It's not that the value isn't there. It's not the customer service isn't amazing. It's simply a case of, do I have the extra hour or hour and a half to make the effort to support these businesses? And to be honest with you, the answer very soon for many people is going to be no. Councillor Mandy Kelly, thanks for your time. I've just a minute for Patrick. You're a bus driver. This is just the works themselves, Patrick. They simply weren't laid out in a way that could accommodate the existing traffic.
Morning, Greg. That's correct. I came in from Letterkenny, or from the Kilmacran side this morning to turn out to St. Connell's there in the bus. The cones are too far down the road. I had to get the workmen to remove 3 or 4 cones so you get turned in. It's not physically possible to turn the bus on. They've left it too tightly.
And do you? Is that just the way it's been set up for the roadworks, or may that be the way the road is laid out once the work has completed?
No, it's just the way it's set up at the moment. The cones going far too far down the road, there's no room to turn the bus on. It just can't be done.
Right. Was that rectified today?
But in fairness, they did move them for me.
Right. Okay. But still, all right, mate. Doesn't make sense.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Look after yourself. Right. More people looking to come in on that conversation, but the 10 o'clock news has caught up on us. We can return to it a little later on. We've had lots of you texting in. Keep your views and comments coming in to us. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. Or if you prefer, 074 91 25,000.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Autumn is here and so is your last chance to save. The annual Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday at Easy Living Furniture. Celebrate the sale of the season with huge reductions on all departments. From plush sofas and dreamy mattresses to eye-catching dining sets and stylish accessories, we have everything you need to make your home feel autumn ready. The Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry.
The Peugeot sales event is here November 1st to 9th with fantastic offers on the Peugeot electric and hybrid range, including the 2008 SUV, Fastback 3008 and spacious 7-seater 5008. Enjoy a €500 Dunnes Stores gift card, a 5-year unlimited mileage warranty, and for electric cars we'll add a free 3-year service plan and a home charger. Order your 261 Peugeot today at McGinley Motors, your main Peugeot dealer in County Donegal. Terms and conditions apply.
At Foy's, with expert teams in both Letterkenny and Ballybuffet, we deliver professional interior design and colour consultations for both residential and commercial projects. Whether it's a cosy living room or a full renovation, we offer personalised design advice and premium paint choices tailored to your style. See foys.ie or call in store today to Foy's in Letterkenny or Ballybuffet, and let's bring your vision to life.
She's the Queen of Country and Irish, Margot, live in concert. Catch Margot with the Ryan Turner Band Wednesday the 22nd of October at the Mount Errigal Hotel in Letterkenny, with special guests Shinny Cramsey and Damian Davis. Tickets available now at the hotel reception. Call 07491 22 700. Join Margot at the Mount Errigal Hotel October 22nd for an unforgettable evening of music and memories.
Transform your living room with a luxurious, bespoke feature wall from Sprat Fireplaces, Newmills, Letterkenny. Our complete installations include built-in storage, electric fires, floating shelves and stunning finishes in stone, porcelain or marble. Each feature wall is designed and built in-house by our expert carpentry and stone masonry teams. No fuss, just flawless feature walls. Call 074 91 24144 or visit spratfireplaces.ie. Sprat Fireplaces, experts in heating, design and detail.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. 100% Redress Deputy Charles Ward claims the government is doing all in their power to ensure his motion on reform of the defective concrete block redress scheme is not read into the record of the Dáil. The landmark motion, which is due to be supported by all opposition parties, is set to come before the Dáil within the next few minutes. However, Deputy Ward says the government has moved to delete every word of his motion by putting forward an amended text. He says affected homeowners continue to live a nightmare while the government ignores the crisis.
The devil is in the detail, and the actual detail is that this scheme is failing miserably. And today now, you'll hear government ministers speaking about the success of this scheme, but on the ground in Donegal, it's a complete catastrophe. The reality is in Donegal, we're living in a nightmare, and in Dublin, they don't see it.
A major search operation in Inishowen last evening has been deemed a false alert. A member of the public reported hearing cries for help at Strigill Beach at around 5 p.m. The Rescue 118 helicopter, Greencastle Coast Guard and Lochswilly Ornelai were tasked to the scene by the Mallinhead Coast Guard. The search was stood down later in the evening. The National Children's Hospital project is set to miss yet another completion target, adding to a long list of delays for Ireland's most expensive public build. The main contractor, BAM, is facing growing pressure as costs continue to rise and deadlines slip further. According to the Irish Independent, officials say progress is ongoing but confirm that the latest milestone won't be met, raising fresh concerns over when the long-awaited facility will finally open its doors. Parts of Derry city centre have been likened to the Wild West. Foyle MLA Mark Durkin says vulnerable people are engaging in street drinking and antisocial behaviour, which he claims is impacting the city's economy. People are said to feel unsafe, with some parts of Derry designated no-go areas. He called for progress on legislation that would permit police to confiscate alcohol from adults. The North's Justice Minister Naomi Long says efforts are ongoing.
We're proposing providing PSNI officers with the additional power to seize and dispose of alcohol in exceptional circumstances, such as certain public order situations. We're also exploring whether any other agencies may wish to use enforcement powers, although it is important to note that any power of seizure would be limited to the PSNI.
Members of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District are set to meet with Local Link in the coming weeks to discuss the possible expansion of the service. Councillor Donald Coyle says a recent call out for student accommodation by the Atlantic Technological University highlighted the lack of bus links to the outskirts of Letterkenny. He says many people were willing to offer accommodation, but the main issue was transport. Councillor Coyle says additional Local Link services would greatly enhance the accommodation offering in the town.
Listillion right around, just to take a circle from that right on the outskirts of the town in all directions. If there was good local link transport into the town, a lot more students would get accommodation and would be able to access accommodation, and it would help solve the problem of student accommodation in the ATU.
Supplies of blood are running low. The Irish Blood Transfusion Service has issued an urgent appeal for public support to help boost the national blood supply. Blood donation clinics are being held at Jackson's Hotel Ballybuffet today from 3 to 5 p.m. and from 7 to 9:30 p.m. and again tomorrow from 12 to 2 p.m. and 4 to 7:30 p.m. Director of Donor Services and Logistics, Paul McKinney, says current supplies are under 3 days across most blood groups.
You go onto our website, giveblood.ie. There's a little eligibility quiz. If you fill that in, you will know very quickly whether or not you can donate this time round. If you're a regular donor, then we would ask you to make an appointment online or ring us on 1800 731 137 to make an appointment with one of our customer service agents.
Weather now, some isolated bright or sunny spells are possible today, but it will be mostly cloudy, mainly dry with patches of drizzle and mist, and highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, October the 15th. The death has taken place of Peggy Mooney, Strand Road, Bombay. Her remains will repose at Rorty's Funeral Home, Derrybeg, today from 4 o'clock until Rosary at 8 o'clock. Funeral Mass will take place tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock in the Church of the Sacred Heart, Dunlewy, with burial afterwards in Maharagallen Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page and on the church webcam. The death has taken place of Joe Sweeney, Joe Begg, Joe Moore of Maharaclahar, Bombay. His remains are reposing at his sister Margaret Richardson's home in Maharaclahar today from 12 noon to 8 o'clock. Rosary tonight at 8 o'clock. House private after Rosary and on the morning of the funeral. Joe's funeral mass will take place tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock in St Patrick's Church, Mina Wheel, with burial afterwards in Maharagallen Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page and on the church webcam. The death has taken place in Melbourne, Australia, of Margaret Wilkinson, née Graham, formerly of Maumeen, St Johnston. The celebration for the life of Margaret will be held in Melbourne tomorrow morning at 11:15, 1:15 a.m. Irish time. The service will be available on smct.org.au. The death has occurred of Matthew George Pearson, known as Georgie, Craigadoos, St Johnston. Georgie's remains are reposing at his home. The funeral will leave from his home this afternoon at 2:45 for 2 o'clock service of Thanksgiving in St Columba's Church, Craigadoos, followed by burial in Toughboyne Parish Church Graveyard, Carrigans. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu to Craigadoos Church and the Irish Cancer Care Society, care of any family member or Terence McClintock, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Susan Duffy, née Peoples, Dunmore, Carrigans, County Donegal. House private please. The funeral cortege will leave her residence tomorrow morning at 11:30, proceeding to St Bathan's Church, St Johnston, for 12 noon Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Oncology Unit, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or Kelly's Funeral Directors. And the death has occurred of Brian Richard Park, Millbrook, Ballyboe, Rathmullen. Brian's remains are reposing at his late residence, Millbrook, Ballyboe, Rathmullen. Funeral from there today, going to St Paul's Church of Ireland, Ramelton, for 2 o'clock service of Thanksgiving, followed by interment in St Joseph's Church Cemetery, Rathmullen. Family time please before the funeral today. Family flowers only please. Donations if desired to the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital and the We Care Food Bank, Market Square, Letterkenny, care of Pascal Baleka, Funeral Director. Bus service will be provided to and from the Wake House, leaving the Waters Edge, Rathmullen, from 3 o'clock until 9 o'clock. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
When the button comes off your jacket and you miss the bottom step of the stairs and then your bus and someone throws out your lunch and the boss needs help opening a PDF and your housemate wants to have a formal meeting about the electricity bill, you need a Cadbury snack. There's something about the delicious combination of smooth chocolate and crunchy biscuit that puts you in the mood for messing. And while we stand over the taste, Cadbury Snack is not responsible for any tomfoolery or jiggery-pokery that may occur in the process. Cadbury Snack. Start your messing.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
Thank you so much to all of you texting in so far this morning. A caller says, try living in Ashlawn. Have tried to get a counsellor out to see what's going on. 400 cars between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. Cars use the estate because they can't get out through Gort Lee. So they're using, are they some sort of a unofficial bypass? Very frustrating. There was funding available, so they applied for it and got it, so now it has to be spent or you lose it. Instead of going and getting funding for a bridge and start the 10T project in Letterkenny and add it, but that would make too much sense, and it would. But in fairness, that's a different tranche of funding, and there's a planning process, and it takes so blooming long. I have sympathy, obviously, to make sure that anyone who's impacted by it with the road either going through their house or close to the house, there has to be a proper level of consultation and their concerns have to be addressed. But other than that, things need to be able to move more quickly, surely to God. Let me see. I have a few more on traffic, do I? Yes, and then I'll get to some of your other comments here. Traffic backed up on Cullion Road to Ready Mix nearly every morning now. Another morning, Greg. It's almost 2 years since those ridiculous slides at the Polestar roundabout were installed. Can anyone honestly say they've improved the traffic? If you live in the Ballyrane area, as I do, it's been an absolute disaster. It is a joke. On to homes. Hi, Greg. The amount of people I'm chatting to are out so much money trying to rebuild their homes again. 30, 40, 50, 60,000 euro of their own money. They can't do it, thanks. And indeed, I know many myself as well. Siobhan on YouTube says, here, go on, Charles. Greg, you're missing the point. This is forcing the government to state their lies on the record. Well, if you read and I'm sure you have, Siobhan, if you read the counter motion from the government, it's stuff we've heard before and they believe it to be true, and supporters of the government also believe it to be true. So I don't think this is a gotcha in that regard, to be honest with you, because they will be more than happy to stick that on the record. Anthony on Facebook, Mr. Kelly's 100% spot on. Total madness, all for a cycle lane which only a handful will use. People will just avoid Letterkenny and take their business elsewhere. Staying with homes, good luck with this, Charles Ward. Good on you for being man enough to call it out. Who's willing to support or who is not? Enoch Burke, if the school is so right in dismissing Enoch Burke, the question has to be asked, why are they taking so long to hear his appeal? Something is far wrong there. Well, he's also been delaying the appeal process because he's been unhappy with some of the people that might be sitting on the appeals board. And it's quite possible too that Enoch might be trying to, because he doesn't believe it's a fair process, frustrate that as well. So there's a lot going on, and it's not because the case is so complex in the dismissal of Enoch Burke that's delaying the appeal. That's not what's mostly responsible for it. On the presidential election, the ongoing presidential battle is not really about either woman. It's not even about what they did or did not do in the past or indeed in the future. It's simply a smear campaign against Catherine Connolly. Well, if it is, if I were a Kathleen Connolly supporter, I'd say keep coming at it because she's doing pretty well. And the smears aren't really, a lot of them aren't bothering people, about who she may or may not have tried to employ or what have you. It's not what people are talking about around the kitchen table. Breast Trek. Hi, Greg. Why is Breast Check removed from Letterkenny to Donegal Town, especially if you live in Inishone? It's very far to travel at a time when they're telling women to avail of screening. I believe it was removed from Letterkenny in June. I'll have to double check that because I don't want to give any false information out. I do know there is Breast Check in Donegal, but I'll double check that info. But that's your experience, so I'm not questioning it, I just want to make sure we're 100% right. On the issue of Gaza, a caller asks, do the public realise that Israel's now funding others to attack Hamas? This is the world we live in now, whereby anything that happens is going to be disputed, and that's right. Maybe you're right. I'm not saying you're disputing it or you're wrong. It's just that, what I saw on the TV yesterday, it's not a place I would like to live, not least obviously because of the lack of food and infrastructure and what have you, but just the violence and what have you. Good morning. This is the carriageway, Bonagee Road and Lurgy-Brack Road at the moment. It would fit the powers that be to get a solution to this rather than wasting time and hard-earned taxpayers' money on ridiculous cycle lanes that nobody uses. And I'm looking at the pictures here, and chock-a-block, suffice to say. And just to give people an idea of what it looks like if you're watching the show, you can see there that there are queues on effectively what are back roads. There shouldn't be so many cars on them, but they're trying to avoid traffic. And everyone thinks they know the little sneaky way around it, but lots and lots of people do as well. So there you go. Any more views in relation to that? We will have to come back to that. Such is the level of interest in it. Okay, Good luck if you're playing the bingo today. Here are the numbers to facilitate you doing so.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
The obituary notice says for this Wednesday morning, October the 15th. The death has taken place of Peggy Mooney.
Unfortunately, there seems to be a little technical error, which has seen the obits run again. But here is the bingo numbers.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 15th of October. You're playing on the blue sheet for the daily prize of €800. The reference number is S8. It's game number 42. The numbers are 29, 68, 32, 49, 45, 41, 61, 67, 14, and finally 72. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Join us at Heron Auto, Donegal Town for our 261 Open Weekend from the 17th to 19th of October. Explore the latest Kia models with brand new EV4 on display with exclusive offers including finance from 0%. Open Saturday 9 to 4 and Sunday 10 to 4. Don't miss your chance to upgrade. That's Heron Auto Open Weekend, 17th to the 19th of October.
Shop Homeland's October mega deals now until October 21st. Save 10% off all regatta jackets, 10% off Snickers trousers and shorts, save 15% off all bird tables and feeders, and save €10 off Dulux Final Matte or Soft Sheen Pure Brilliant White 10 litre paint. All this and more in store and online at homeland.ie.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want, and have them printed instantly within an hour, or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Hos ag give blood punca gur féidirlinn bheitthe bratharibh. Pobal don't tóirí fola dorgaid, le bheithir fáil do riine eile agus iad de grua chás. Is féidir le don't tóirí rialta chuine I dhéanamh ag give blood punca Nú tríd gléach a chur a héan a hocht a náid, a seach a trí a héan a trí a seacht. Tá sé fíorthach don't tóirí nó aimsú. Túr cuairt RCF Gréasáin, chuin in cháilehocht agus sunraí clinicí a cheacáil. Tommy de Brahart.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Now, we're joined on the programme by Jen Hogan, journalist and columnist with the Irish Times and host of Conversations with Parents podcast. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, earlier this week, we were contacted by a parent who witnessed two dads physically and verbally attack each other at an underage game because of a decision the ref made. Now, Jen, our guest, has written this week about the importance of the campaign Silent Sidelines. So talk to us. What is this campaign, Jen?
So Silent Sidelines is it's a campaign. Certainly it's been introduced again by the Schoolboys and Schoolgirls League where my children play, which is the DDSL. And it basically tells the parents and the coaches that they are to be silent on the sidelines. It's exactly as it sounds. So that means no shouting, no instruction, clearly, obviously no abuse. It's crazy that has to be laid out in such terms, but that's the way it is. No mocking other children if things go wrong, not even your own child in terms of the shouting or instruction. Nothing like that is to go their way, and just basically silent. You can clap it when somebody scores, but as a general rule, it's to be absolute silence and give the children time to find their own way playing. So even instructions from the coaches during the game were restricted to half-time and having a little chat with them then, but otherwise the instructions in go the players and they kind of work it out among themselves. So the kids get the opportunity to play. It sounds in some ways like parents are completely stepping back, but I suppose if you throw it back to how most of us played sports and played football and played other team sports in the olden days up in our local green area, we did that without any adult intervention and just played and got on with it and sorted out situations ourselves. So basically, it's back to that in a desperate attempt to try and get adults to stop ruining the game for children, because the DDSL said that the abuse and the behaviour of adults on the sideline is basically having a detrimental effect on the players.
Yeah, and I know sometimes people feel it's passion and caring, but I suppose if you're on the receiving end, it doesn't feel quite like that. And I'm all on board for the parents and spectators following the rules as you've outlined. Is it not important, though, that the coaches can give instruction during the game? Is that not throwing the baby out with the bathwater? Because that helps the players develop and understand their positions and who they should be marking and what spaces they should be occupying. Is that not maybe going a little bit too far?
That's what I wondered. It's interesting. My husband coaches one of the teams, so I was very curious to hear from him. How did that work now? Because I thought that's just not going to play out very well. And I suppose what he witnessed was that the kids, and they're young enough children, they found their way. They started to guide each other a little bit on the pitch. There was the opportunity to give them some instruction at the beginning, and like I said, at the water break, where they could maybe reorganize the team and kind of remind people of their positions, and then again at the end. But the kids largely found their way again. I suppose the reason for doing that as well is that it's not just the parents on the sideline who are the problem. We have overly competitive coaches. They have been an issue in children's sports for a long time. They're destroying children's sports. Everybody wants to win. I mean, we all get that. Everybody wants to win, no matter how small the child is or how old the child is. Everybody would like to win in theory. But winning cannot be the most important thing. It can't be winning at all costs, to the point that we're driving children out of sports, or that we have children. We know we have a massive drop off in sports when we reach the teenage years, particularly with girls, but with boys too. And that's the kind of stage where you will start to see increased poor behaviour on those sidelines. So that while there is that fear of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, it's also supposed to remind the coaches that some of their behaviour is very questionable.
Oh no, for
too.
sure. No, that is it. Screaming at the ref, shout, "Oh ref!" Even something as simple as that. It does educate the kids to start doing that. But I just think a bit of guidance in. You see, my concern, Jen, is this, and this would be a small part of it. From most accounts, I speak to people sort of in business or in education. Is that we are producing, sounds awful, it's not a factory, but we're rearing children, with increased anxiety, less confidence, and certainly lacking sort of resilience and maybe even that competitive edge as they head into the workspace. It is a particular problem in certain sectors. And of course, then at the same time, we've been removing scoring from certain age levels of games or what have you, and everyone getting participation medals. Is it not important that we get rid of any abuse and pressure, but we do want to instill, do we not, in our kids sort of a sense of competition, the consequences of winning, and also how you deal with a loss, because it's all well and good to have that massive victory and be euphoric, but I think it's important that kids also learn early on how you bounce back from defeat, how you cope with a loss. Because as I say, I do share the concerns, let me put it like that a lot of our late teens and even early 20s now, they're really lacking a bit of resilience and grit for a very tough life.
I think sometimes there's a bit of confusion, Greg, about what drives resilience. I mean, we build on resilience from positive experiences in life, and we use it for when we kind of come up against those difficult challenges, like a match not going your way, or like something far worse going on in life. And if you have that kind of self-esteem and that self-worth and that value and confidence in yourself, it's easier to draw on that resilience to cope with situations. But the problem in letting over competitiveness take over, and I'm a huge fan of competitive sports, and I think every child still wants to win. They're still very aware. We can remove the score lines all we want. They're still aware who's won. I suppose the reason that we take away scores and that we're trying to include and promote more children becoming involved in sport is that we keep children in sport for as long as possible. And when sport's allowed to become overly competitive, there is increasing levels of competition as they get older, as children have a better understanding. But it's about trying to keep as many as possible involved in sport for as long as possible. When over competitiveness takes over, children drop out. It becomes, if winning is the most important thing, then we're going to see children who perhaps don't excel at much of sports left on the sidelines, feeling excluded, feel not actively being
just
part
in
of the
relation
sport,
to
and then
that,
they drop out.
Yeah, and just in relation to that, Jen, and I hope I'm not conflating, but I think an even more damaging area for children's self-esteem is what seems to be very common, and that is, coaches maybe favouring family members or certain players, and you get that 5 or 6 players that spend most of the time sitting watching on.
Yeah.
I think that actually really has a very deep detrimental impact on children as well. Is there anything being introduced or looked at in relation to that in the clubs that you're involved with?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's absolutely rules around that children are supposed to have equal playtime and fair playtime, and that as the children go up through the different ages, there's differing amounts of that. But across the board, I have witnessed it across the board myself, this idea of having children left on the sidelines, favoritism definitely being shown. We have this thing called leapfrogging. I'm sure you've heard of it, where children who are younger are brought up to play on a team because they're considered better players, and then children of that age group miss out on playtime. It is rampant across sport. It is a massive issue. It definitely goes back to coaching and club culture again, where the idea of winning is far more important than giving children that equal playtime. And you're dead right. It is detrimental and incredibly damaging to any child to be left sitting repeatedly on the sideline, to feel excluded, to feel they have no value and they don't contribute to a team because they recognize very quickly if they're the one who's always subbed or they're the one who's left sitting there. That's not building resilience either. That's encouraging children, I suppose, to drop out of sports, and then they're missing out on the lifelong benefits because for the majority of parents and coaches, they seem to kind of miss this. We will have these incredible people children hopefully go on to become professional athletes, but the majority of our children will just be involved in sports for the fun. The main reason they get involved is often just because of friends, and they get involved and they get to have those lifelong benefits, the health, the physical health, the mental health, the camaraderie, all of that. And we're depriving kids from that when we allow competition to be the main focus. It comes anyway. It's not to rule out competition totally, but it cannot be winning at all costs, because then we remove sport, we make it inaccessible to an awful lot of children, often the children who could benefit hugely from being involved. Every child could benefit from being involved.
Yeah, okay. It's a deep, complex situation, because if any of those kids do any gaming at all, for an example, it's an ultra competitive space, and that's not even in the real world. And also, Jen, if I could add, we've been talking about the children, and they're the most important thing. We have obviously tried to get coaches to choose their words carefully, and also to try and get parents to only make encouraging noises. That mustn't have worked if we're saying, right, everyone silent, let the kids play. But anyway, Jen, thanks for your time.
No problem at all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Look
Greg.
after
Good
yourself.
talking to you.
Bye-bye. Jen Hogan there, journalist and columnist with the Irish Times. Would you like to see that? I know for a fact pretty much everyone listening to this show has a grandchild or a nephew or a niece or a son or daughter playing sports. Would you like silent sidelines, which is actually extended to coaches not giving direction whilst the game is in play? Yes, they can sort of, suggest positional changes or what have you. That part I don't agree with. I've seen, and also it's difficult for me because I've tried to instill competitive nature in my children, right? I think that's actually really quite important. And I'm very competitive, whether it's playing tiddlywinks, darts, pool, golf, Call of Duty, whatever it is. Anytime I do it, I want to win. I kind of probably brainwash my boys into thinking the same. So I don't mind that. But anyway, that's my view. I think it's important that kids learn how to win. I think it's important that kids learn how to lose correctly. But what's your views out there? Would you like to see silent sidelines? That means coaches, family, the general audience, you just stand there, you clap if there's a point, but you don't say anything else other than that. Would you like to see it? 086 60 25,000. V&M, Greg, who are these cycle lanes for? I don't know. Get them on. Actually, that's a really good point. There is, because the majority of people seem to against this, I'd be afraid that maybe cyclists who are looking forward to these lanes might not want to necessarily stick their head above the parapet. But certainly if you think that these cycle lanes are a good idea at this time right now for Letterkenny, let us know. 086 60 25,000. But I think really for motorists, the learned experience, the engagement with cyclists is 2, 3, 4, 5 abreast on narrow roads, driving up the 4 lanes, not a sinner on the side. I mean, down towards Kilmacrennan. I see walkers on those cycle lanes. I don't really see any bikes. That's to be just the God's honest truth. The scooters are on the footpaths. They're supposed to be on the roads. So what is it all about? Who's it for? What are we trying to build? There's other areas where there is cycle lanes going in, and when Letterkenny gets its full town bus service, there's nowhere for the bus to pull in to let people to get on the bus. They're going to be stopped in the middle of the road as well. So cyclists will be cycling up and down these cycle paths up by Glencar and areas like that, right? And a bus will be stopping, letting an older lady or gentleman on or off the bus in the middle of the road whilst the cars are backed up behind them. That's the level of planning now. There aren't bays for the buses to pull in, sort of drop on, drop off. As far as I'm aware, I don't see them in the plans. And then you go down to the Mount Errigal Hotel, narrowing it down to 2 lanes. I mean, people, how many times have you been sitting trying to get through the Polestar roundabout and out towards Derry or Donegal Town? That's going to be down to 2 lanes now. No right-hand turns below us here at the hospital, St. Connell's. You heard Donald Mandy Kelly outlining. I mean, what's that going to do to traffic? More traffic lights then in different parts of the town. It's I would love it to be a massive success. Would I like to be starting a business in Letterkenny right now? No. No, because as I say, the businesses are fantastic. They're competitive. You've got customer services. They support the community. But as I says to Donald Mandy Kelly, there comes a point whereby do you have the time? Do you have the time if they don't get their act together in terms of the traffic? Do you have the time to spare to support these brilliant businesses?
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Dunn Stores is making dinner easier with brand new options like our delicious breaded chicken range. Choose from wings, bites or crispy tenders, all 100% Irish and available in flavours like southern fried or hot and spicy. Any 2 for €10. Or try our new ready meals with dishes like turkey meatballs and tomato ricotta pasta or Thai chicken curry. Any 2 for €8.50. Plus, you can save more with your €10.50 voucher. Dunn Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Vouchers can be used on next grocery shop.
As a parent, you always remember the little things, but don't forget the bigger ones. When it comes to child safeguarding, do you know who to speak to in your child's school and clubs?
Under Children First, all organisations working with children and young people need to have strong measures in place to safeguard children. To learn more about Children First, visit gov.ie/Children First.
We were all children once. Now we are children first. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Getting your first electric car is like meeting your partner's family for the first time. Nerves are normal. You were stressed about awkward silence with her dad. Now you chat for hours about sport. You worried her mum wouldn't like you. Now she likes you better than her own son. Likewise, once you experience how great an EV can be, you'll never look back, especially if it's a Skoda. Order your electric Enyaq or Elrock today.
Skoda.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396. Experience a magical night of traditional Irish folk with Trasna, Ger O'Donnell and Trevor Sexton, masters of guitar, flute, banjo, whistle, double bass and more. Saturday, 18th of October at Anchurch Hotel, Gidor. Tickets €25. Accommodation packages available. Book at anchurchhotel.com or hotel reception.
Now, we must return to the situation of the traffic in Letterkenny because so many of you are vexed by it. Rachel, sorry for holding on. I was supposed to come to you before 10, but we ran out of time. What's your view on all of this?
Hi, Greg. I suppose my view is much the same as what I was listening to Donald Mandy Kelly saying before 10, that it's all very well to have great plans to reduce the amount of traffic by increasing the amount of cyclists. But you have to make the whole place a bit more pleasant for the cyclists. And even if you do, as everybody has pointed out, it's a very hilly town and people are not necessarily going to take you up on your offer cycling anyway. You know, Mandy was saying that the reason there's this big push being put on for the active travel is because there's funding has been granted, and if you don't use it, you lose it. But sure, what odds if you do lose it if you're using it for something that's a ridiculous way to spend money in the first place?
Yeah, and you know, cycling up past the hospital, I just can't imagine people are going to do that as part of their commute. You know, if you're heading into town for a dentist appointment or shopping, or I mean, I don't think your average person could physically cycle up that in any comfort at all. For an example.
No, that might be a rather poor comment on the fitness and health of our population in general.
I'm talking about myself, Rachel, so I'm all right. But you know what I mean.
Oh well, I'm the same. Believe you me. Yeah, I mean.
I'm not about the practical. I'm not about the practicalities of it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to cycle up past the hospital with 20 kilos of groceries along with you. And at the moment, what seems to be happening around Letterkenny is that in a town that is already heavily congested and is an absolute nightmare to get about, to be honest, they're further reducing the amount of road space available for vehicles to move because they're using the road space that's already there to facilitate bicycles that aren't.
Now, I'm on roads at certain times, Rachel, and I accept that I don't have a full picture, but I can say categorically that I don't recall, and I'd keep my eye out, I don't recall ever seeing a push bike from, say, the roundabout at Penny's to the roundabout there at Solo, and then that ring road around sort of McDonald's and the other businesses. I don't really recall, I can't recall actually ever seeing a cyclist there, because I would be conscious of not going in on the little cycle lane that's there, so I do keep my eye out. And I'm just wondering, like, where are these cyclists to come from if they're not already in the flat part of Letterkenny, for an example?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole Irish sort of mentality to travel, and particularly in a county like Donegal, which is basically a rural county, even if you're in Letterkenny, an awful lot of the people in Letterkenny are rural dwellers. And the whole mentality is that you need a car. You need independence to travel because traditionally public transport has been so poor. And it's going to take a huge amount of time and effort to change basically the national psyche. And I don't know that you ever will, but I don't think that putting in active travel lanes without first making avoiding Letterkenny easier for the cars is going to work. You know, a lot of us, like I'm coming from Rathmullen, if I want to go pretty much anywhere, it's very difficult to avoid going through Letterkenny.
So in other words,
you can avoid going through it.
Yeah, the ring roads, the bridge, a proper, a full, bus service, no disrespect to what's there, so that people have alternative means of travel or to avoid Letterkenny if they don't wish to go to it. And then it becomes a more attractive a place, potentially, to cycle. If it's not a push bike, maybe an electric bike. But I'm just wondering, like, I cycle from work. If I would cycle from Highland here down that hill on that cycle lane, where do I go then? How do I just cycle on the road down past the fire station, that crappy road that runs down to sort of McGettigan's Hotel? Where do I cycle there? I'm in the midst and at the I'm at the will of the traffic. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels a little bit like the cycle lane to nowhere.
Yeah, like at the brewery here at Kinniger Brewing, we would have a number of young staff, and they don't have cars. They live in town or on the outskirts of town, and they either walk or cycle. And even in the relatively short length of time that this business has been here, like we've had more than one member of staff hit on the bicycles traveling to and from work.
Yeah.
The cycle lanes, you know, if you think of the cycle lane there by the Aldi, the first Aldi, that's lethal. It's 2 foot wide, and the paint delineating it has faded, and anyone cycling would be taking their life in their hands to use it.
And that's the in-town infrastructure.
So there's just so many things that need to change. We need to reduce the amount of traffic that is going through Letterkenny and would much rather not go through it. They'd much rather go around it, so that there would be less traffic in the town. And if you're going to put in cycle lanes, you can't remove badly needed space on the road already. You need to create new space.
Okay.
So obviously, preferably not by cutting down very old trees around the town.
All right, Rachel. Listen, brilliant points. Brilliant points. Well made. Thank you so very much for that. And maybe I'm coming across as anti-cycle lane. I genuinely am trying to come up with some counter arguments and some positives, and maybe it's like the field of dreams. If you build it, they'll come. Maybe when these cycle lanes are built, it'll be like Holland all of a sudden, and people will be cycling all over the shop, ringing their bells and waving at each other and stuff. Giles McGee's owner of Charlie's Cafe, Letterkenny. Good morning to you, Giles, I beg your pardon. How are you, Giles?
Morning, Greg. How are you getting on?
I'm getting on all right. You were on, I think you were on with me talking about what was to come, and I suppose you would say we're seeing what we were talking about happening.
I don't want to say that I told you so, Greg, but this is exactly what was going to happen when this type of work happened in around Letterkenny. I just want to be clear that I'm not anti-cyclist, because I'm a bit of a cyclist myself, or used to be, and I'm not anti-active travel and those things, and I'm not anti-progress, but like Letterkenny needs to get rid of the traffic that's already there, Greg, before they start this madness of reducing cycle lanes or reducing the roads to create cycle lanes on some of the busiest roads, quite possibly in Donegal. I mean, it's definitely the cart before the horse, and I give praise to Mandy Kelly for coming on, highlighting again, and same to yourself, Greg, for highlighting these things. But I would like to hear from some of the councillors that have promoted this and have voted for it. Where are they? If it's such a great idea, Greg, how come they're not on the radio with you backing up their idea and giving the reasons as to why it would be such a good idea? They seem to have ran for the hills now when this has started,
I spoke to a couple of them, and if the truth be told, they weren't necessarily fully sure what they were voting for. They've just voted along party lines. There are some councillors who probably haven't been in Letterkenny for quite some time because they're from far-flung parts of Donegal. You've got cycle lanes running outside your business. Do you see cyclists on them much?
Greg, it's a rarity. It's very, very rare.
You mean tell me there aren't people filling up their bicycle the bicycle baskets with freshly cut chips every day of the week? No?
Greg, you can imagine what your bag of chips would be like if you cycled down from Highland Radio to cycle back up again.
This is the point I'm saying. Like your business is in the flat part. It's the most accessible part of the town.
Totally.
So if there was a culture of cycling, you would anticipate to see cyclists
You'd think it would be down here.
Yeah, and I don't see bicyclists at all
no.
there.
Greg, I'm sitting looking out my front door here at the traffic going past, and I mean, there's no bicycles. Bikes, they lined out the Pierce Road years ago when they were given grant money to put cycle lanes, I think on a semi-permanent basis onto the Pierce Road and other roads like it, and the cyclists don't use it. And whatever cyclists that there are, they're not necessarily like they're kind of leisure cyclists. They're out, they've got all the gear on them, they're out, they're doing their 2 or 3 hours. They're not sitting, in a 1 metre lane that's full of dirt. They have to sit out on the carriageway where it's clean and it's safer for them to do so instead of being tucked into the side of the road.
Well, I'm driving past your business here now on Google Maps, right? And I'm now up as far as Saunders, and obviously these are video. I have yet to see a cyclist, right? So you keep talking there. I haven't seen a cyclist yet on the road, let alone in the cycle lanes. But I'm still going. You chat away there. The road's busy.
There's
just no cyclists.
The road is busy. There's loads of traffic, but there are no cyclists. This is part of the problem. There's new electric bike stand up there behind the old courthouse. Kind of halfway up a hill.
Yes.
It just all of these ideas that they sound great, but in reality they're being put in the wrong places. They're not been properly thought out. The whole active travel plan for Letterkenny, while money has been granted for it, believe it or not, that money will be there in another 5 or 6 years' time, because Letterkenny is only one of probably the first 10 towns in Letterkenny or in the country to have this plan implemented. So my argument would have been, why doesn't Letterkenny sit back and wait until the 10T road's done, wait until some of the other towns have had it done, see what their experiences are, and then come up with a much better plan. They're not thinking these things through like a well thought out business has to think things through. Right. I mean, I can't just open today and think about today. I have to think about next week, next month, and next year. But our council officials don't seem to be doing that, because with respect to them, Greg, they don't have to go out tomorrow morning and earn money to pay their bills on Friday evening.
Okay.
Not like the rest of the business in town do.
I've been listening to you, and I've gone around the road, out past the shopping centre roundabout, out past Letterkenny LYT, it's not called that anymore, ATU, and I'm now heading up towards the Sony Centre, up to the area where Curry's is. I still have yet to see a cyclist on Google Maps. So there's a few walkers.
That's the flattest part of Letterkenny.
Right, okay. And I'm genuinely doing this, by the way, as I listen to you, and I have not seen a cyclist. Oh, sorry, I've got one. Well, I have one cyclist.
You got one?
I do have a cyclist.
How long have you been looking now at your cameras?
I've gone around the entire town. Yeah, here he is.
And you found what? You found one cyclist.
Yeah, he's opposite. He's just opposite where the Sony Centre is. And in fairness to him, he's in the cycle lane. Okay, but that's it. I've done the entire loop, and I got one cyclist.
That's one
and in
cyclist.
Fairness, he was wearing his high vis and everything.
Oh, fair play, but we're going to sacrifice all of our roads for one cyclist.
Yeah, well, and I say this is only a snapshot in time from Google, but as I say,
and Greg, I'm down here on the Pierce Road, and I'm watching traffic every day. I watch it back up for no reason other than their 2-minute traffic lights and stuff. But that's a different day's story. So you can imagine what it's going to be like down here when when the actual travel plan gets going up past the hospital, up past Glencar, out to Ballyreen, out past the Mount Errigal, when all these roads get narrowed down, and the thousands of cars that are coming into Letterkenny because they have to go through Letterkenny to go somewhere else. So we only think traffic's bad now. Wait until these things are all completed. And my argument is to Jerry McMonigal and people like it. Like Jerry's chatting about, we have to get these bloody people out of their cars and onto these bloody bikes, and you have to crack or break a few eggs to make an omelette. He's not the man that's reliant on all of these people being able to move clearly and freely around town, and I am, and people like me are. And if them people would sit back and think logically about this and say, you know what, let's wait a little bit. And as Mandy Kelly said, the money that was allocated for the active travel plan would be much better suited being handed back to government and sit and wait until the other projects are completed first, because that really is the cart before the horse.
Right.
And
So
the cyclists, they're not there. Like,
well, I've got repetitive strain injury on my right finger now. So I left your place. I went up to the Letterkenny shopping centre roundabout. I went down to the Polestar roundabout, right around, and I went out as far as the Aura Leisure Centre. And there was one fella on a bike. That was, now as I say, it's a snapshot. I'm not, but it that's the evidence there. I don't know what it proves, if it proves anything, but that's it.
And bearing in mind, we're at the start of the winter here now, so whatever cyclists we are going to see, Greg, we're not going to see them on a dark, dreary day like today.
Right, okay, listen, thanks for your time. Giles McGee, owner of Charlie's Calf, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
This Halloween is back, and it's bigger, better and scarier than ever before. Fawn Fright Nights return to the Lochswilly Marina from the 27th to the 31st of October. Dare to enter the haunted house if you think you can handle it. Open nightly from 7 to 10 p.m. And the best part, the price only €10. Fawn Fright Night, Lochswilly Marina Fawn. Over 12s only. Not suitable for anyone who's pregnant or with a heart condition.
Are you feeling stressed, in pain, or in need of a reset? Imagine a place where gentle healing vibrations, light and sound gently wash over you, nurturing both your body and mind, melting away tension and easing pain. This is possible at Beyond Light Therapy, designed to support deep relaxation, renewal, and your body's natural ability to heal. People report a sense of calm, improved mood, mental clarity, and renewed energy. At Beyond Light Therapy, where health begins, experience the first 60-unit energy enhancement system on the planet. Call us today to begin your journey.
Become a qualified scaffolder. SafeTech are running a 7-day basic scaffolding course in Donegal starting October 28th. Also running advanced scaffolding in Donegal starting on the 9th of December. Funding available on both programmes. Terms and conditions apply. Contact SafeTech today for your training requirements on 07491 27786 or visit safetech.ie.
In Ireland, it can be hard to get enough vitamin D from the sun. But did you know that 90% of us also don't get enough vitamin D from the food we eat? Avonmore Supermilk is packed with goodness and fortified with vitamin D, which helps absorb calcium for healthy bones, so you can be at your best. We can't make the sun shine, but we can help you shine. Avonmore Supermilk, a super source of calcium and vitamin D. Figures based on 2023 FSAI report.
Hello, it's Joe Duffy here. I've been fortunate through my work with the National Lottery to meet some extraordinary good causes, from boxing clubs, wildlife conservation to community cafes. Did you know National Lottery players raise over €4.5 million every week for good causes all over Ireland? And that's all thanks to you, the players. You made this possible. Support responsibly. Average figures based on 2024 financials.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. Our Christmas shop has now opened for all your festive shopping needs. Explore our extensive range of decorations, bedding and more in our homeware department, in store or shop online at mcelhinney's.com today.
Okie doke, some isolated bright or sunny spells possible today, but mostly cloudy, mainly dry with patches of drizzle and mist, highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. And enjoy this little spell of high pressure that we've had for the last wee while, because it's shifting and temperatures will drop a little bit and we'll see more rain Saturday, Sunday and into next week. Right. Sergeant Fergus McGrory is the Divisional Crime Prevention Officer in Donegal, and he joins me on the show now. Good morning, Fergus. Thanks so much for your time.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Good. And we're getting the message out there today that Gardaí know that there are bogus tradesmen out and about in the county. So what's the intelligence or the information that you're working off here, Fergus?
Yeah, we've had a number of reports, Greg, in the last 24 hours of bogus tradesmen circulating in the county. We've had reports in Moville and Greencastle area yesterday and other parts of Inishowen, and today we've had reports that they're in the Letterkenny area. So what we're appealing to the members of the public is not to engage with these people. They are bogus tradesmen. They're going around. They will be canvassing to do some work for you. They're also selling generators. We had similar problems in this regard earlier in the year in the south of the county. So we're appealing to everybody across the county not to engage with these people. They'll be travelling in vans and also camper vans. So just to be vigilant, and not alone that for yourselves, but just your older and more vulnerable neighbours, maybe just keep an eye out. And if you see these vans in your area, would you please let us know, and do not engage with them at all, please.
Yeah, and it's great to see yourself and on Garda O'Connor getting this message out now, because this is live information, isn't it? Reports yesterday in Inishowen and in Letterkenny today. So it's at the moment and going forward to be on the lookout.
That's it, Greg. Just, you know yourself, if anybody comes onto your street offering you to do work for you or trying to sell you generators and that, but you please don't let them in around your house. There could be people trying to canvass or trying to cage out your house and see what's lying about that they could take with them as well. So don't engage them at all. We had a number of reports earlier, as I said, and already we had a number of reports earlier in the year of similar incidents happening in the south of the county, in the Glenties and Donegal town area. And unfortunately, some people were caught out with that scam. People coming around, they'll offer you to do work. They might give you a very good bargain. I often hear me talk, Greg. If something seems too good to be true, it generally is. Their vans may look legit. They may be marked with signage on the side of the vans, but just please, if those people come onto your property, will you please don't engage with them at all, and please report it to your local Garda station so that we know where they are, and we can keep an eye on their activities.
Yeah, look, there's a ton of work out there, and tradespeople are very, very busy, and not many of them are landing up, reputable ones are landing up offering to do work right there and then. So that is a massive red flag. Fergus, what is your advice, though? Because I have heard reports in the past that, there can be that sort of shock and awe, that urgency, even maybe a bit of persistence and sometimes, aggression. What is your advice to people in that situation if they meet them on the street? I mean, firstly, I wouldn't open the door, would you? And is it a case of ringing the Gardaí at that point, or saying that you're going to ring the Gardaí if they don't leave your street?
Yeah, well, I would be letting the Gardaí know straight away, particularly if somebody comes to your door, Greg, and they're putting you under pressure, and you feel that you're being pressurised. Please don't keep your houses locked, and don't make it easy for these fellas to get in and around your property. And if they do, if you could just note the registration numbers and report them to your local Garda station as well, so that we know what vehicles they're driving and we can monitor their activities. But definitely do not engage with them. Do not let them into your house, and report it to us as soon as possible. And make them aware that you reported to the Gardaí as well, so that they'll move on somewhere else. But I would also ask for people, if you know somebody living alone or somebody in your community that may be vulnerable, will you keep an eye out for your neighbours? I know that there's a lot of local community alert groups and WhatsApp groups and stuff out there in the community. Would you just be vigilant for each other and let us know if you know these people are knocking about your area? All right, listen, thanks for that. That's Garda Sergeant Fergus McGrory there, the Divisional Crime Prevention Officer in Donegal. There are bogus tradesmen out and about. They were in Inishowen yesterday. Some reports of them in Letterkenny. It's really sound advice from Fergus there. Keep your houses closed. If strange vehicles come onto your street, you don't have to engage. Sometimes we'd be too polite for our own good, especially if we're a little bit older. And call the guards. That's a live warning for you. So just be extra careful, extra vigilant. And as Fergus was at pains to mention there, keep an eye out for your neighbours, because these people, they're good at what they do, if I could put it like that there, and they will try and, deal with someone that might be easier to exploit, if that makes sense. That's right now. So keep your eyes and ears peeled, folks, and we appreciate Fergus's. And by the way, it's obvious, and it was said off air, the Gardaí are not sitting waiting for you to call. They know what's going on, and they're out and about and active as well. It's just for you to help them in that regard. Okay, so look after yourselves, and it's just a bit of useful information for you there. Recycling. What is happening in Letterkenny is totally unacceptable. Over cycle lanes, businesses will lose trade. The traffic is bad at the best of times, but closing down lanes will make the town a no-go area. Why don't those who are in power that come to this decision come on and tell the public it is justified? Another, hello Greg, take a look at the mess of a road in Lifford to Castlefin. It's a joke, cycle lane taking up the whole road. It's a disaster, they say. Another, the government did a bike scheme to allow people to buy bikes and get tax relief on them. We all know they were bought and never used. I'd love to see a survey on bike use to work and school done in Donegal. That scheme's still live, by the way. Actually, it's quite useful if you want to get a bike, leisure. There are still tax breaks in relation to that.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Hi everyone, Michael English here. Don't forget to join me and my band for my annual dancing weekend this weekend at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town. I'll be there Friday night with my band along with Jerry Guthrie and Stuart Moyen. Saturday night I'll be there again with my band, Jack Keogh and Kieran McAree. And Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. join me and my band for an afternoon of dancing for all the family. That's this weekend at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town. See you there.
It's the Donegal Creamery's Milk €500 cash splash. We're giving away €500 in cash every week. Scan the QR code on promotional packs of Donegal Creamery's Milk and you could be making a splash with €500 cash. Pick up special packs of Donegal Creamery's Milk in store to find out more. Terms and conditions apply. The €500 cash splash with Donegal Creamery's Milk.
It's Cabaret 25 at Harvey's Point. We start again on Wednesday, September the 3rd, and every Wednesday until November the 5th. an amazing lineup of stars, gourmet food, the warmest of welcomes, and all in the beautiful surrounds of Harvey's Point on Lough Esk, Donegal town. Book today 074 972 2208 or harveyspoint.com. The Harvey's Point Cabaret, a night not to be missed.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
Hey, got some old household electrical appliances or batteries lying around? Recycle them for free with We Ireland in partnership with Donegal County Council at our special collection day on Saturday 18th of October in Killybegs at the Shore Road car park from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll accept anything household with a plug or battery. See weaireland.ie.
Donegal County Council are holding a public drop-in event in the Himalayan Cafe on Church Lane, Letterkenny this Thursday the 16th of October from 3 till 8 p.m. for the Cathedral Quarter Park project. This is an urban regeneration funded project that will see disused land transformed into a new park and a new building for visual artists in the heart of Letterkenny's cultural quarter. You are invited to drop in and share your ideas. An online survey is also circulating on all Donegal County Council's social media posts.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's just turned 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update, and it's good morning once again to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The government has been accused of gaslighting defective block homeowners. 100% Redress Deputy Charles Ward brought a landmark motion before the Dáil within the past hour, backed by the entire opposition, which called for reform of the defective concrete block redress scheme. He laid bare to the Housing Minister how thousands of families have been left to live in cracking and sinking homes. In response, Housing Minister James Brown says he is aware of a number of concerns relating to the current redress scheme. However, he says he is confident it is beginning to deliver for affected homeowners. The government, meanwhile, will debate a motion of confidence in the Taoiseach this afternoon. It's in direct response to Intu's plan to table a motion of no confidence in Simon Harris next week. The opposition party put forward the vote over how the former health minister handled waiting lists for children with spinal injuries. Parts of Derry city centre have been likened to the Wild West. Foyle MLA Mark Durkin says vulnerable people are engaging in street drinking and antisocial behaviour, which he claims is impacting the city's economy. People are said to feel unsafe, with some parts of Derry designated no-go areas. Members of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District are set to meet with Local Link in the coming weeks to discuss the possible expansion of the service. Councillor Donald Coyle says a recent call-out for student accommodation by the Atlantic Technological University highlighted the lack of bus links to the outskirts of Letterkenny. He says many people were willing to offer accommodation, but the main issue was transport. A man has been arrested in County Tyrone in connection with the discovery of a suspected bomb in County Louth last year. A second man was arrested in Fermanagh yesterday also as part of the investigation into the incident on June the 9th, 2024. Men aged 44 and 49 have been taken to the Serious Crime Suite at Musgrave Police Station for questioning. And supplies of blood are running low. The Irish Blood Transfusion Service has issued an urgent appeal for public support to help boost the national blood supply. Blood donation clinics are being held at Jackson's Hotel Ballybuffet today from 3 to 5 p.m. and from 7 to 9:30 p.m. and again tomorrow from 12 to 2 p.m. and from 4 to 7:30 p.m. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Thank you so much, Michaela.
Fearing the weekly shop? Your money now goes even further with our new Aldi Price Drops. Fill your bag with your faves, fresh wraps, pesto, maybe pancakes? You know, good food, the bits you need, and the treats you deserve. Then head to the till, check the bill, and breathe. Save even more with Aldi Price Drops.
Well, very little vexes like the traffic and the traffic around Letterkenny in particular over the last day or two. And we always welcome your voice notes, by the way. And here is what one listener has to say.
Read the road situation, Greg. It's like they're turning a town that's progressing towards a city into a town that's more like a village. Like, so, see the traffic stuff they're setting up there. It's like someone you see in a village. So it is, where they're trying to reduce the speed down and all that stuff and reduce lanes down instead of expanding lanes and making things wider. So it is. I don't know who's councillors. If they're powerless, there's no need for them. Do away with them. If they're crying on the radio to you, have no control of their own areas, it's time to get rid of the councillors.
All right, okay. Well, in fairness, the councillor in question did vote against the active travel plans, but I take your point and we appreciate your voice notes as well. 086 60 25,000. Get them into us or just call us, whichever way you prefer. Right, the Mental Health Commission is looking to hear from users of the child and adolescent mental health services. It's launched a public consultation to help inform new standards for CAMHS. John Farrelly is Chief Executive of the Mental Health Commission. He's with me now. John, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I am good. Now, obviously the services have been heavily scrutinised in recent times. We're hearing of difficulties in getting referrals to them, really long waiting lists, maybe not the best oversight in the world. How do you see the CAMHS services as they are?
Well, I suppose, first of all, we do not regulate the current community CAMHS services, so we have no oversight of them whatsoever. It's a matter for the HSE and at the moment. So the new law that's coming through is going to give us powers, because we have the powers to register, oversee, set standards for inpatients, including CAMHS, and they actually do quite well. So it really is, for us, we want to make sure, on foot of what happened in the community CAMHS, really that we get the powers under the Act, which the government are pushing through. But part of that is, before you register, you want to make sure that everyone is clear on what an appropriate standard is. And really, that's why we're reaching out now. The first point for us is to develop these standards, and we want to hear from the people who've been receiving CAMHS, the people who interact with CAMHS, particularly the voice of young people and their families, so that we can set good standards.
In terms of the delivery under the new system, will you have to operate within a certain funding model or what have you? Do you know what I mean? Because there's one thing sort of establishing what needs to be done or where there might be gaps and introducing a new way of doing things. But if that is hamstrung, in terms of staffing or funding in general, really it could be, it's not a wasted exercise, but certainly a hampered exercise.
No, that's a fair point. Look, it's an integration of a few things, but ultimately the key thing coming out of, from our point of view, is that there is regulation and oversight. So, for example, if something happens in a CAMHS inpatient unit, we know directly what's going on. We're able to look, we're able to investigate, we're able to set rules and regulations for those CAMHS inpatients. So really what you're trying to do is avoid things going wrong. And also, if you look at what's happening across the system, so there's whole new structures being set up. Integration is a key word. So it's this idea of making sure that we can set standards so that the services apply those standards. And to apply those standards, the services are going to have to be funded. So I know it sounds like a full administrative mechanism, but by setting a standard of care that's required, they will then have to be funded. At the moment, there really is no standards around it. Again, the HSE have their own, operating rules, etc. But we want to make sure that the regulator sets the rules, and then we will monitor to make sure that those rules are implemented.
Yeah, how long do you think this process might take?
Well, the Act is coming through now. Hopefully now the Act will be signed off by the end of the year, and we wanted to kind of get a head start and and the Minister asked us to do the standards early. So I think we'd have the standards ready next year for when we get the powers of regulation. Now, look, apart from that, the HSE, after what happened in Kerry and the different things around and our own review of CAMS. They've been doing a lot of work to try and get CAMS services right. And I suppose one of the things we want to do is hear from people, and I suppose people who might be in other services, because you hear from people saying, well, I never got my appointment or waiting this, etc. So we want to hear as much as possible, because we want to make sure that we learn people aren't in queues in other areas while they're waiting for CAMS. So as much as possible at this stage, we just want to really hear the voice of the person, families, people who are involved, and really set about getting these standards in place.
All right, if you want further information, you can email standards@mhcirl.ie. We've got telephone numbers here as well, and you have until 5 p.m. on Friday the 28th of November. We'll get that information. As I say, we'll hold it here for people to ring us. They're more familiar with our numbers, and we'll get it out to people if they're interested. Thanks, John.
No, thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. John Farrelly, Chief Executive of the Mental Health Commission. 1.6 billion was the budget for 2026 in the budget for mental health services. So the money seems to be there. It's about how it's spent, I suppose. My daughter was late for school this morning because at 8:20 we were at the old Oatfield Road and we were at Errigal College at 9:05. It's insane. That journey should only take 5 or 6 minutes. It took 25 minutes. Morning, Greg. Regarding Ashlawn, if the more people living in Ashlawn would attend the meetings, they would get the council to look at ways to avoid the traffic coming through Ashlawn. Hi, Greg. Stopped going to Letterkenny because it's a complete disaster. They have Letterkenny destroyed. The amount of people is staying away from Letterkenny is unreal because of the traffic. Thanks, they say. On the issue of sport and how we do sport, a caller says, should the management and team be roaring and shouting and not all nice at their teams as well? Of course, and as part of the silent sidelines, that would stop. They would be told not to. Another, last night's crowd at the Aviva must have been listening to Jen. It was like being in a library, perhaps reflecting standard of play on the pitch. Okay, I like that one, but at least it was a win. Thank you very much indeed. Does anyone know why there are no UK channels on TV for the past week or so? Liz Monaghan area. No signal from BBC, Channel 4, etc. Only RTE. Anyone else have the issue? Well, I presume you've retuned. If it's a digital tuner and you're getting them from, say, the north, they might have adjusted the frequencies. So I certainly would retune that element of it. If it's the satellite, you can also retune that, but that could be a different problem altogether. Let me know if you've tried to retune or if you're getting them via an aerial or a satellite. I got my voting card yesterday, says a listener. At 78, this is the first time I cannot vote. I've nobody to vote for. Presidential election is supposed to be non-party, which makes this election, they say, a joke. Greg, just want to highlight something regarding the traffic in Letterkenny. One thing I think they should look at on the Port Road, a footbridge over the Port Road to allow the students across from the car park to ATU. Them lights at the ATU and congestion, the traffic right up to the Polestar from where when students start to arrive. I reckon it would definitely help the flow if a footbridge was in place, or even now underneath. We've a wee tunnel underneath to our national school under the main road in Lahey. So anyway, listen, loads of you texting in. Keep them coming in. They're very much appreciated.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Attention students, TFI Local Link bus services, available nationwide, can connect you to a wide range of colleges all year round. Save up to 50% on cash fares when you use your TFI Young Adult or Student Leap Card. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
Ireland's move to a cleaner energy future is happening right beneath your feet. With a gas network that's carrying more renewable gas, that will help your business become more sustainable in a way that works for you. Gas Networks Ireland, moving Ireland's energy.
Autumn is here and so is your last chance to save. The annual Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday at Easy Living Furniture. Celebrate the sale of the season with huge reductions on all departments. From plush sofas and dreamy mattresses to eye-catching dining sets and stylish accessories, we have everything you need to make your home feel autumn ready. The Oktoberfest sale ends this Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry.
Join David James and the Outside broadcast team this Thursday, October 16th, where we'll be at Kiernan Spire, Newton Cunningham for the launch of Bravado Coffee, bringing a premium coffee experience that's deliciously different. Enjoy free coffees, treats, giveaways and great crack from 2:30 to 5 p.m. That's this Thursday at Kiernan Spire, Newton Cunningham.
Joe Gallagher Entertainment presents the Ultimate 70s Night, Sunday, October 26th. Get ready for Shawadi Wadi and the Bay City Rollers live at the Mount Erical Hotel, Letterkenny. Sing and dance the night away to all the hits. Tickets on sale at ticketmaster.ie and hotel reception. Don't miss this unforgettable night, October 26th at the Mount Erical Hotel, Letterkenny.
From October 2025, you'll be able to make and receive payments within 10 seconds 24/7 with SEPA Instant Payments. This is a result of new EU rules which are changing how payments are made across the Eurozone. Alongside this, verification of payee will be introduced for all SEPA payments. When making a payment, this will check that the name of the person you intend to pay matches the name on the bank account, giving you greater control and confidence. For more information, visit payrightnow.ie, a message from Banking and Payments Federation Ireland.
Shekelatha ama Highland Radio. Arna Dortugat ag Airgrid. Uproar agus forbor an go letrahas na Héireann. Airgrid. Pobal a guachtu, era a guachtu. Teshe.
The time now is 11:14. Did you know only 32.6% of disabled people in Ireland are in employment, and in Donegal it's only 28.9%. This compared to an EU average of 51.3%, so we're lagging well behind. The Donegal Centre for Independent Living, Letterkenny, Put Us to Work campaign is supported by the council and seeks to improve employment opportunities for people with a disability and address the barriers and prejudices where they exist that prevent many disabled people from finding meaningful, rewarding and permanent employment. We've got three guests with us. Mo Farah, good morning, Mo. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you so much for you inviting me.
No, it's great to have you with us. Mark Anderson's there too. Hi, Mark.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Good to chat to you. And we also have Jonathan McLaughlin, Operations Manager at the Donegal Centre for Independent Living. How are you? I mean, these gaps are wide. Is it urban versus rural, or is it literally just our how we do things in this country, Jonathan, versus our European neighbours?
Well, as you see, the national average, the Donegal is below the national average, but I think across the country, there's huge barriers that people with disabilities face in gaining employment, and this is what this campaign wants to do, is to highlight those to highlight those barriers. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot of challenges, but we feel that some of these barriers can be overcome, and as part of this campaign, we want to raise awareness about that. And it was important for us that the campaign was led by people with lived experience, and that's why Mark and Mo is leading out in the campaign as people with disabilities who have had trouble gaining employment.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to chatting to them in a moment. But, you know, do we know... We're at full employment in this country, and we still are. There's still jobs growth in the market. Do we know if we are empowering or facilitating disabled people to seek employment the same as other countries, or are employers less likely to opt for someone with a disability, if you know what I mean?
So I think there is, on the employer side, there is maybe a lack of knowledge or awareness of the supports that are actually available for employers, and that's something that we want to highlight in the campaign. So there's benefits as such for employers. There is things in place like wage subsidy schemes. There's adaptation grants for employers to adapt their premises to, for example, put in a wheelchair accessible ramp, toilets. But I don't think employers in the county know about that enough. I also think we talk about this in the campaign, that there's many barriers, and there's a lot of physical barriers, but there's also attitudinal barriers. So we feel like certain people may look at someone coming in presenting for interview and they're in a wheelchair or they're blind, and they immediately think that this person isn't suitable for
That's
it.
a disadvantage from the get-go, really.
Disadvantage from the get-go.
Yeah.
And what we say is leave the bias at the door. Now, there is employers that have a positive approach to hiring people with disabilities in the county, and that's another thing that we want to highlight in the campaign, to show that there is businesses here that have a positive approach to this, and they're very successful in that, and it's benefiting both the business and the job seeker.
Mo Farr, as I mentioned, is one of our other two guests. He's a service user with the Donegal Centre for Independent Living. Mo, as a human rights advocate and looking for improvements for the rights of people with disabilities, it's very frustrating, isn't it, to see how far we're lagging behind, comparable countries.
Absolutely. I wasn't expecting, because currently I'm new to Ireland myself. I've been living in Ireland for 3.5 years. And I was expecting that Ireland is more advanced than what I was expecting. But right now, when I have seen how people with disability are facing the challenges in terms of accessibility, in terms of employment, in terms of housing, so I see there is a very, very big gap that needs to be filled by the government. So in a workplace, people with disability is a little bit far away than the other people. As you mentioned, the statistic is 28.9% in Donegal and less than 33 in the whole Ireland is very, very low according to the European Union, which is 50 plus.
Yeah. What challenges have you faced in seeking employment, or is it more observing what other people's situations were?
Yeah, I think the challenges is the main challenge is one of the barriers is negative attitude barrier, and
So
also
you're judged straight away, in other words, right? Before you even have an opportunity to talk of your skill sets or what you can bring to a company, you feel that you're already being judged as a disadvantage.
Yeah, absolutely. There is two attitude from the employer, and even some of the disabled people who are looking for the job, they have a negative attitude in their mind. They think they will never get, because they have been treated in this way for many years.
Yeah,
so they're
conditioned to
already
think that's the
disappointed.
case. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So that's one of the is attitude. The other one is direct or indirect discrimination. Also, accessibility in the workplace is one of them, and there are more that we can conclude in just one session or one interview.
Yeah, and Mark Anderson, the key point here, I feel, is that no one's looking for special treatment.
No, 100%. No one, as we've highlighted, and I don't know if you've seen the campaign video, but one of the things we've said is we're not looking for special treatment, we're looking for equal treatment. So that's the point that we're making here. We're not looking for special treatment or give us the job because we have a disability. Just treat us the same as you would treat any other candidate for the job.
Yeah, because I mean, you have achieved a lot. You love of sports and training up in that regard. You've got all the drive in the world. You just need the opportunities. Not you specifically, but people that we're talking about today.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I've got a level 8 degree and probably more than most people in employment at the minute, and because of the wheelchair and whatever else, and then I'm not being given the opportunity.
Which it must be very frustrating.
It is absolutely very frustrating, but I suppose you learn to deal with it, I suppose. But
well, you learn to take it.
Accept it, I suppose.
Yeah, which you shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be part of...
No.
That shouldn't be part of the journey, should it?
No, definitely not.
Did you want to come in there, Jonathan?
No, I'm just saying that, the kind of highlighting what Mark and Mo were saying is that there's a lot of people with, they've gone through their education, they've got to themselves to a high level and are employable, and it's just, we're just hoping that the employers now will come in behind that and see that these are people that are ready to work, and that's why we called the campaign "Put Us to Work," because we are ready.
Mark, what would you ideally like to be working? What space would you like to be working in?
My qualification, my degree is in sports coaching and performance, so ideally around that. But I'm ready to work in whatever capacity.
Yeah, there's transferable skills, isn't there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm ready to work in whatever capacity I'm given.
Yeah.
Society's expensive nowadays, Greg, so money is needed.
You just love the money, man. He just wants the green. Mo, what about you? I know you're strong in the advocacy area, and would you like to maybe actually pursue a career in advocacy, or what else would interest you?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been working in advocacy area for many years, and that's one of my hobbies that I like to contribute to the society and to raise awareness for people with disability in any kind they are. And also I like to work for the community worker to support my community in Donegal. So that's one of my the things that I need to work for in the future.
You know, we've been talking this morning, and I'm not trying to pitch you guys against cyclists, don't get me wrong, but we've been talking this morning about, you know, a multi-million euro accessible travel scheme for Letterkenny, whereby new lanes are being put in here, there and everywhere, and this is for cyclists and pedestrians, in a sense that, you know, the time's not right for that here. Out of interest, what's accessibility like around? What, are you based in Letterkenny, Mo?
Yes.
Right, so if you want to get about independently in Letterkenny, right, as a wheelchair user, what's it like?
Letterkenny is not the way it was before. Last 2 years, we have been working also auditing accessibility in Letterkenny to check the pavement, the roadside, is how it's improved, what we need to do. And we have raised a lot of concern to the council that they need to move to do it more accessible for the roadsides. So we appreciate any activities or any support that building to the roadsides to make it more safe, how people with disability, easy for them to reach where they want it independently.
Mark?
Can I just say, one of the main barriers that I found from getting employment is, again, an accessible transport thing, where the local link buses there's not one of them that are accessible.
I find that I can't remember the minister responsible for this, but she was on a couple of years ago or last year, and she was talking about how many new buses were coming into service, and I think she had a dual mandate with disability as well. And I asked her how many would be, and also how many would be electric, but that was a separate point, and the answer was none. And I'm like, wow, these are new vehicles. You know, there's one thing speaking, right? But action is what counts, isn't it?
I personally don't drive, so when I'm applying for jobs, it technically limits me to the Letterkenny area, because if I was to work outside of the Letterkenny area, then I'm out my day's wages paying for taxis or transport to and from.
So even if a potential job was on a route, you can't really get on and off the bus.
Yeah. 100%. It's physically impossible for me to get on and off the bus.
All right. I mean, Jonathan, I know we are trying to get some stuff better, like, you know, increasing employment from 28.9% to the European average of 51.3%. But we seem to be spending money in the wrong places. You know, we need to make the town, the county, the country, you know, fair for everybody in terms of accessibility and movement.
Yeah, and I feel like as a disability organisation, we do feel that sometimes people with the disabilities are kind of second thought or left behind when it comes to planning for these type of things. We had the successful launch of the disability, the Put Us to Work campaign last week, and there was a lot of stakeholders in the room. We got a good crowd. There was a lot of energy. But the feedback and the kind of comments in the room was, there's work being done, but we can do a lot better.
Do you know what you need to do? You need to get 3 or 4 counsellors and stick them in a wheelchair. And no, seriously. And ask them to go around Letterkenny and then ask them to get on a local link bus. Literally sitting in the chair.
I've been on with you lately, Greg, speaking about the traffic congestion I done with Mary T. Sweeney over the Old Town.
That's right, yeah.
Over the Old Town. And I've challenged the councillors to sit in my wheelchair and take their lives into their own hands while going onto the road.
Do it, like, so, because you can only fully understand if you experience, right? So try and access certain buildings, try and cross the road, try and get up that drop curb that's still 2 inches off the ground, or get in and out of your area down the bottom of the town.
Yeah. I get laughed at when I say that, but I was deadly serious. If anyone wants to If any councillor listening here now wants to do this, then
You can have the chair for an hour.
I'll borrow you my chair, no problem. I won't even charge the renting fees.
Cheaper than a taxi. All right. Mo, working with the Donegal Centre for Independent Living, how has that helped you in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. It helps my life and it makes us more independently, financially, emotionally, and physically. And I do appreciate for the whole staff who have been working together, and also for the managers and all the board directors. It improves my life, and I become very financially independent when I join them.
Yeah, that's okay. That's good to hear. Jonathan, we're going to play out with the video that you've put together from the Donegal Centre for Independent Living. Anything you want to say finally?
No, just that if people, this is a kind of an awareness raising campaign, so we want people to share the video. We're going to be creating a lot of content over the next 4 weeks, so follow us on our social media, Donegal Centre for Independent Living, where we're going to be highlighting the challenges, the barriers, but also putting spotlights on the supports available and also those employers that are doing good in our community.
Okay, Jonathan McLaughlin, Operations Manager at the Donegal Centre for Independent Living. Mark Anderson, thanks very much.
Thanks very much,
If you come on the show much more often, you'll be a co-presenter at this stage. And keep at it, though. And Mo, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll play out. I'm not sure how this works audibly, but we'll play out with this video too from Independent Living.
I have a degree in sports coaching with performance and I graduated in 2020. Since then I've applied for numerous jobs but haven't been successful. One of my recent interviews was in a place that didn't even have a disabled toilet, so it was immediately clear that even if I got offered the jobs, it wasn't somewhere that I was going to be able to work.
People make assumptions all the time about me and my capabilities, especially when it comes to employment. The truth is, just because I can't see doesn't mean I can't work. When it comes to getting a job, people see the cane and not my potential.
I was recently successful in my job search and was offered a position at a local company. Unfortunately, I was unable to take up the position because their building wasn't accessible for me.
I have a master's degree in human rights and development and over 10 years experience. In the last 6 months, I have applied for the roles and I was fully qualified for, but I was rejected. I believe my disability played a part.
I've been looking for a job since I was 18. I've had help with my CV and interview, but whenever I get a job interview, I feel like nobody taking me seriously.
I want to be employed, not just for myself, but to give back to the community. People judge my ability by what they see, not what I can do. I don't want sympathy, I want an opportunity.
People with disabilities in Donegal are ready to work. What we lack isn't ability, it's opportunity. In Ireland, just 32.6% of people with disabilities are employed. That's one of the lowest rates in Europe. Here in Donegal, it's even lower, with only 28.9% in employment.
At DCL, we believe this is not just a social issue.
It's a human rights issue. Employment gives me more than a wage. It brings me independence and a sense of purpose within the community.
That's why we have teamed up with Donegal County Council to launch the
Push Hard to Work campaign.
We don't want special treatment, we want equal treatment.
We're not just ready to work, we're ready to contribute. Through the Put Us to Work campaign, we're asking employers to focus on people's abilities rather than their disabilities. We don't want to see people just survive. We want to see them thrive in their careers. We want to see them reach their full potential.
What we're asking for is equality.
Put us to work.
Put us to work.
Put us to work.
Put us to work. We're ready.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Southwest Donegal Blackface Sheep Breeders Group annual ram show and sale will take place on Friday 17th of October at Broca Clohan Cooperative Mart. Show starts at 5 p.m, followed by sale at 7 p.m. The sale can be viewed on Marteye.
Autumn is alive with a kaleidoscope of colour, nature and adventure at National Trust NI. Unwind and relax with a crunchy leaf walk through Llewellyn Garden. Sample the finest seasonal food at Florence Court's Harvest Fair. Gaze into the majestic mirror-like lake at Mount Stewart. And breathe in the beautiful garden at Castle Ward. Or delight with frightful fun on one of our trails this Halloween half-term. Come along and make wonderful memories this autumn. Search National Trust NI today.
It's CFC Interior's 50th anniversary, and we're marking the milestone with our biggest ever sale, the Furniture Show NI 50th edition. Get bigger discounts, more offers and giveaways across all departments. Only at CFC Interiors, Campsie, Derry, Cookstown and Abbey Centre. Hurry, the Furniture Show NI 50th edition sale is now on.
To all fearless tradesmen and business owners of Donegal, this Friday, October 17th, iMotors invites you to Snugborough, Letterkenny. Join us from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. for free breakfast and coffee. Check out our commercial vehicle range and grab your free safety pack. Buy a new Nissan Primemaster or Interstar and get €1,000 to fuel up or tool up. Pre-order before December 23rd for your chance to win €10,000 exclusively at iMotors.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Carrickdon in Buncrana is turning 2. Join Sam and all the team to celebrate with a VIP event this Thursday with MC Mickey Doherty, fashion shows, fundraising and lots of fun. Doors open from 6 p.m. Enjoy 20% off full price stock plus up to 50% off special offers until Sunday. Join the team in celebrating Carrickdon Buncrana this weekend.
Would you like to join Highland Radio's award-winning news and current affairs team? We're seeking a full-time journalist. The successful applicant will be integral to the delivery of local news and current affairs across our broadcast and digital platforms. The role is highly hands-on and requires a keen interest in the issues and people of our community. You can apply by forwarding your CV to Greg Hughes at highlandradio.com or by post to Head of News, Highland Radio, Mountaintop, Letterkenny, County Donegal. Applications close on Friday the 17th of October. Yeah, brilliant opportunity to join our news team in a full-time capacity as well. If you're interested and you have the experience, get in touch with us. Greg Hughes at highlandradio.com will post it in. Right, now Chris Ashmore is presenter of Highland Radio's Business Matters podcast, and he is in situ with me. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Greg.
How was your week?
Very good. Great weather, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Everybody
it's
in
calm.
good form.
Yeah, it's calm. Right, let's get to some news. Major engineering firm in Letterkenny going to become even more major.
Indeed. Now, this is a firm called Cora Consulting Engineers, based in Dublin, but they've expanded to the northwest and have recently officially opened their premises, which is within the CoLab Innovation Centre at the Atlantic Technology University. And the company is involved in a range of civil and structural engineering projects, both public and private sector. And it's currently recruiting to, it's looking for engineers and technicians and an opportunity for graduates to join them. They already employ 40 people, so they are expanding here in the northwest. So that's a nice positive note to start on.
Any jobs for me there?
What's your engineering background?
I think I can bluff my way in.
Right, we'll have a look at the CV and see what happens.
Big conference, big golfing conference. This is a hugely valuable area of the tourism market. They're big spenders, generally speaking, and we have such an infrastructure here for them.
Well, absolutely. And now, in the recent days, there's been a major conference that was held in Sligo. Fulcher Ireland hosting it, and at the conference it was essentially a showcase of the golf courses in the northwest. And what they were doing, they were bringing together the tour operators, the golf providers as they call them, and those in the industry, getting them to meet with people from the courses up here, a great networking event, showing them what we have to offer, bringing them out. And as you touched on there, and this is the really significant thing, that the average golf visitor, average, as we always put people into their little categories, but they spend on average 2.5 times what a so-called normal visitor spends coming to Ireland. So that's significant. And nationally, we're talking over 300 million to the economy. So these people are coming, they're spending a lot of money, they're generally staying in good quality accommodation, and that, of course, is all going to filter down through. And a lot of these golf courses, they can be in very rural areas, so does the employment side of it. So, it's a win-win.
If you start at the Leitrim-Donegal border, Bundoran, it's got its own offering for golf course. Murva, Donegal Golf Club Murva, arguably one of the best courses in the country. Then you into Ballabafay, lovely parkland course, Letterkenny, another. And you haven't even ventured really further north than that. I mean, that is some offering just before you even get as far as Ballyliff and Dunfanaghy,
Portnew,
Downings. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And the links courses have a particular appeal, particularly to a lot of the Americans who may live hundreds or thousands of miles from the sea.
But a great advantage of them too is that they are often very playable all year round. Because of the nature of the topography with sand and what have you, they drain really well. So you get a good challenge no matter what time of the year you're playing. Right, tomorrow's National Women's Enterprise Day, because I know we were flagging up a big event in the great in the Mount Errigal Hotel, I believe it is, and there's lots of other stuff happening. And I know this is stuff you keep an eye on all the time anyway, Chris.
Yeah, all sorts of things happening. But the big ticket event here in Donegal, as you mentioned, in the Mount Errigal Hotel. There'll be a range of speakers, a keynote speaker, Tessa Breslin, a leadership advisor, Miranda Rosenberg, who is really passionate, an advocate for personal empowerment. There's lots of speakers, a great networking event, and for those people who go to it, who knows what doors it may open. There's more details on the Local Enterprise Office website, or indeed Donegal Women in Business Network, which continues to expand, and many of its members will be there as well.
Rightio. 2 guests on your programme this week. Who is coming up first?
Yes, well, I've been speaking with Fiona Temple, who is principal of Mulroy College, and she's also been coordinating a working group behind the Donegal ETB's Enterprise Day. Now, this is a day for 17 secondary schools. It's been held in the ATU here in Letterkenny, and they are given an idea. They have to develop it, develop a business idea, and then there's a Dragon's Den side to it all. They have to pitch it, and winners are chosen. So it's a great experience, and we have a clip from her just explaining what it's all about.
We essentially are bringing young people together and introducing entrepreneurship in a fun way, and it's a real hands-on learning day. There's a number of people on the working committee who pull it all together, but it really couldn't happen without the expertise of our business people from our local community. So the teams themselves will be given a task. They will be given an innovation game, where basically they will be developing a product from the materials that we provide them. They will have a period of time to work with a business mentor, and this is someone locally in Donegal who is currently running their own business, involved in a business, or has a wealth of experience in entrepreneurship or working in a business. And by lunchtime, they will have created a product. They will have a company. They will have looked at how they market, how they price, their customer profile, all of those details.
It's a great wee thing, that, Chris, on many levels, because it's it's getting the creative juices flowing. It's building confidence. You have to stand up in front of people. You have to back yourself. It's a win-win, that type of an event.
Absolutely, and you're planting that entrepreneurial seed at an early age, and some of the people who are taking part, who knows, this could well be the start of something that in later years they may develop as a business, and there's a fun side to it as well. And even for the people taking part, it's the fact that it's been hosted in the ATU. They're getting, maybe some of them haven't been in the campus before, so they're getting an idea about life at third level. So
that's an exciting time too, because what is going on at this time of year as well is the 6th class students in the national schools. They have the little visits to the big schools, or the schools coming into them. Which school will it go to? And it's all at different levels, but kind of the same thing that's going on. Lovely time of the year if you're in for all of that. Right, okay, second guest up on the show.
Second guest, I've been speaking to Fergus Sharkey, who is Head of Business Supports at the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, and he's been outlining the grants that are available. And they are significant, Greg, be you a small business or a large business. So we're talking about things like solar panels, your heating system, your lighting, the grants there. Well, they range right up to 450,000 for the bigger projects, but the whole system at the moment, it's been streamlined to make the process as relatively straightforward as you can, because they really are encouraging people to try and avail of these grants, and he's been telling us more.
If I could leave one message with your listeners, Chris, it's that there's been a significant transition for SEI supports to businesses in recent years. So there's a range of measures that you can apply for today and get approved today. So solar PV and solar thermal and heat pumps and insulation. And there's a range of other measures that are there that can get that instant rapid approval.
Chris, the one thing I've noticed too in speaking to very successful businesses in Donegal is that they were early adopters of, sourcing their own water, sourcing their own power, insulating their buildings in a certain way, because there's a couple of tracks going on, isn't there? There's some that see it as a massive advantage for their business and don't need any hard sell on it at all. And then you can understand now why the SEAI are out there trying to get other businesses to come on board. But I think the strongest pro voices in this area are those that saw the advantages themselves and just cracked on before any initiatives or schemes. Every panel of the roof with a solar panel, as I say, sourcing their own water in a way which is environmentally friendly, understanding the big users of electricity, finding different ways of supplementing their power.
Yeah, they're ahead of the curve, and some of them have definitely reaped the rewards from that. Others maybe do need that little bit of the carrot to sort of get them over the line. Just interesting to note that the SEAI last year, for these business supports for energy improvement projects, they did hand out more than 170 businesses in Donegal availed of it, so not insignificant.
No, I think that's it's quite significant. Okay, much more from both Fiona Temple and Fergus Sharkey on the Business Matters podcast, which is available very shortly for you to listen at your leisure, download and listen at in your walk or your run or wherever you are. And it's also scheduled for broadcast after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday, if you choose to listen to it on the radio. And Chris, if anyone wants to get in contact with you, how should they go about doing so?
You can email me at businessmatters@highlandradio.com. And just if you're about next Wednesday for that Enterprise Day, it's on in the ATU on Donlan building. It all gets underway at 3:30 and carries on to about 3 o'clock.
Lovely stuff, Chris. Thank you very much indeed. I really do appreciate that. And I'll come back to it. I was going to mention something else, but I'll come back to it after this break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
You can make your home more energy efficient, lower your energy bills and increase your home's value with an SSE Electricity Generation Green Home Upgrade. Our SEAI registered one-stop shop takes care of everything, from full home retrofits to individual upgrades, like insulation, heat pumps and more. We'll even handle your SEAI grant applications and project manage the works, so you can sit back and relax. Learn more at sseelectricity.com/home upgrade. Grants offered are provided by the Government of Ireland through the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland.
If you're getting new furniture or it's time for a change, pay a visit to McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. There you'll find a selection of suites, beds and bedroom furniture, dining room and occasional furniture. You'll be amazed by the selection and pleasantly surprised by the prices. At McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. And online at mcginleysfurniture.com.
At Specsavers, we've got hearing devices that can stream music or movies. Ones that are good in crowds, rechargeable battery ones that are good at home, ones that are good in the great outdoors, ones that connect to phones, ones that fit in your ear, ones that fit over your ear, ones that fit in wherever you happen to be. We've even got ones in our advanced range that use AI to make speech sound clearer. And they're all available at great Specsavers prices. So book a free hearing check today Terms and conditions apply.
Coltus Ceoltarí Éireann a lethir Cargus, ag ceiliúr na Gangal. Ihe specialta land a Heol, Aran agus Dausa, Jamarch an ortu leisfiche, Jerry Forward ag a hort, in Erklan and Rianan, Letcher Canning, Mar Hodge da Doris Nashanta. Be a lethir Hontahia El, na Ceoltarí, na Hauranihe, agus na Dausarí traditiona is far in Éireann, le Tractorat o Kiana Campbell, agus Jermit de Fuiche. Take your foil on Buxa Offige, or Steve Grayson na Hairclania, na o Wild de Branche Letcher Canning de Holtus.
Sweeney's Late Night Pharmacy in Letterkenny are celebrating their first anniversary with great offers in store. Boost your immune system with savings this week on natural supplements and probiotic remedies, all with gentle organic ingredients. Sweeney's Late Night Pharmacy at Crossview House, Port Road, Letterkenny. Open daily until 8 p.m, Fridays and Saturdays until 10.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Our Christmas shop has now opened for all your festive shopping needs. Explore our extensive range of decorations, bedding and more in our homeware department, in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
All right, some isolated bright or sunny spells possible today, but mostly cloudy, mainly dry with patches of drizzle and mist. Highest temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees in light east or variable breezes. Just a wee reminder for you that we are coming to the end of Baby Loss Awareness Week, and tonight is the Wave of Light, and you'll see a number of public buildings in Donegal being shone up in pink and blue, I believe it is, from 7 p.m, and it's to remember all the babies who died too soon. So this could be something that you're doing for yourself to remember your wee one, or maybe it could be just to show a little bit support for the wider community. So safely, if you can't light up your house, of course, you can stick a candle on your windowsill, and as I say, it just might be the little a little virtual hug that your neighbour might need or what have you. So that's the Wave of Light tonight from 7 p.m, and it's part of Baby Loss Remembrance Week, and it's kind of the end of it. Okay, so we talked about that earlier in the week, and I tried to make a mental note to remind, and I've achieved that. I remembered. Mariette McFarland joins me now. How are you getting on, Mariette?
Hello. Nice to see you. Nice to talk to you.
Lovely to speak to you as well. Right, now, congratulations. You are an Open University graduate.
Yes.
Okay.
As of yesterday.
Yes, well done. And it's in English literature. When did you begin this course, this degree course?
Well, the Open University course, I've been doing that for 3 years. And I did. It really should have taken me 4, but I put 2 years, did two modules as they call them, in 1 year. So that sort of shortened us a little bit. Mm-hmm. Which, being 90 as I am, I needed to do really. Otherwise, I mightn't have finished it at all.
No, I'm sure you would have. Congratulations, because that is another unique part of your achievement. From Derry and aged 90 years of age. What drove you to go down this path, Mariette, of returning to study?
Well, many years ago, I was at Trinity in Dublin, and I was studying English literature then, and then I dropped out to get married, to be honest, which you'd never be allowed to do now, and nobody seemed to be too fussed about it in those days, and then I always thought I would do it externally. Of course, I didn't, because I had 4 children, and we had a farm, and in Donegal, and we were busy, and so it just never happened. And then my husband died. I had been looking after him. He was quite ill. And then I had a bit more time, so I thought I might like to do a course of something. And then one of the grandchildren spotted this and got me on got one of her father's friends to write me a reference. So then I got into Coleraine University.
And here we are. But, I mean, obviously you had unique challenges, generational stuff potentially, because you began this course, but also maybe weren't as computer literate as you might be, because obviously you were so focused on everything else.
Absolutely. absolutely not. I could hardly type.
Mm.
I mean, I really, but my daughter-in-law was very good. She practically taught me to type, did teach me to type, and I can now do it very slowly. But everything, it was quite a struggle, because at my age, you don't really do technology very much. I'm a little bit better at it, but I'm not better enough.
Might I ask, if you don't mind, what your loving late husband would think now? And I'm sure he's looking down on you, if that maybe your belief system doesn't align with that, but I believe he is. What would he think now of you being computer literate and a newly qualified graduate in English literature?
I think he'd think it was very funny. I think he'd be quite pleased. I think he would, but I think also he would be quite amused
and proud, I'm sure.
Well, I think so. Yes, I think so.
What do your grandchildren think of all of this?
Oh, they've been so good. They've been really supportive. They've been wonderful. I mean, I think they also think it's quite funny that a granny should be doing a degree, but they've sort of sent me notes for essays. And they've showed me how to access the Open University Library, you know, in words of sort of one syllable that a baby could understand. And, you know, they've written things out for me like that. No, they've been brilliant. They've been really helpful.
Well, with the experience that you've had, what's your advice to anyone who's on the fence about returning to education?
Oh, if you want to, absolutely go for it. The Open University is perhaps easier if you're technically able, which I wasn't to start with. But you can do that. You can take as long as you like with it. Whereas I suppose, which would be the best thing really, if you have access to any courses or classes in your area, it would be better to go face to face, probably, because it's nice to have contact with other people. But I mean, with the Open University, you can do it in your own time.
Yeah, but you did it quicker than you needed to. So what now, Marietta? Do you rest on your laurels, or what? You know, I mean, you need to find something else to do now.
I don't know if I do. I mean, I am 90, so maybe I could retire.
Okay,
I'm quite entitled to retire.
We're not ready to let you go yet to retirement.
Well, maybe it is quite addictive actually if you start learning something. So I've joined a course on creative writing.
Lovely.
So we'll see how that goes. I've only been doing it for 2 weeks. And I'm not sure if I'm very good at it, though. That's the trouble.
Well, it's subjective,
we'll
isn't
see
it?
How it goes.
It's subjective. I just think it's remarkable that, between when you first went into university to the most recent engagement with it, that 70 years has passed and so much life has passed, so many memories and childbirth and the birth of grandchildren and, obviously the loss of your husband. It's astonishing, really, that you've got this education on either side of what's a full life in and of itself.
Well, thank you for saying it. I suppose it is. I didn't think too much about it, really. And I've enjoyed what I've been doing very much. It's been so interesting reading books which I never would have read otherwise, and just get you discover all kinds of things which you didn't know before.
Well, I think you've discovered that there might be a book in you, and now you have to get it out, Mariette.
I doubt that. No, I don't even suggest that. That would be, people might expect it, and it's not going to happen. I tell you.
I
no,
wonder.
I'm not creative. I like this. I like reading other people's books, but I don't think I'll write one of my own.
Okay, I wonder. Okay, Mariette, you know yourself best. Thank you so much. Congratulations again. It's a wonderful achievement, whether you're 18, 25 or 90. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for chatting to us.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Bye-bye. Take care. That's Mariette McFarland, aged 90, from Derry, and has become one of the oldest Open University graduates in Ireland this year, receiving her degree in English literature. Okay. Listen, that's pretty much where we have to leave it on the show today. We were very busy, which is great, but that also means that you might be listening, waiting for your comment and haven't heard it yet. I get through the absolute overwhelming majority of them, and there's some of the topics that are going to run into tomorrow as well. So stay tuned and we'll get